Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the Russian Grand Prix qualifying watch-along. How are we all doing this miserable afternoon in Lincoln? It's not very nice out there, that's for sure. Hope you're all well though, and looking forward to some Formula One. Yes, I know it's Russia, but let's all hang out and have a nice afternoon, and then we'll chat tomorrow after the race and moan about how terrible it was. I don't want to start with a complaint, by the way, but I've got to. Apologies, chat, if you are, or when you're watching this, you are 25 seconds behind instead of 10. It's because YouTube have got a new streaming platform thing, and every time you go live, they change the settings, and even though you change them back, they often switch themselves back when you go live. So instead of having ultra low latency, we currently have normal latency, so you are quite a bit of a way behind. So apologies for that one. Not a lot I can do about it now because we've gone live and I don't want to restart the stream. So that's the way it goes. I'll try and keep an eye out for that in future, but thank you, YouTube, for fixing the things that don't need fixing. We all really appreciate it. Anyway, stop it, Sean. Russian Grand Prix qualifying today. Let's have a look at FP3 this morning, the result from earlier. Lewis Hamilton, it's been Bottas all weekend, has once again looked like the man to beat, and then we get into this morning, and Lewis Hamilton just wipes the floor with him. 7/10 up the road, there are reasons. Not getting laps in and things like that. Everybody on the soft tyre for that. With Bottas 7/10 behind. Carlos Sainz, the big surprise. Renault as well, 3rd and 4th. Sainz and Ocon. Fantastic laps for them. Sergio Perez in 5th place. Max Verstappen in 6th. And Sebastian Vettel in 7th. Well ahead of teammate Charles Leclerc. Some positivity, potentially, for Seb Vettel. Fingers crossed for him. He could do with a good weekend. Lance Stroll in 8th. Better than he was yesterday afternoon, I think it was. Apparently some issues with setup and trying to get the car working yesterday, according to some people in the comment section, and pushing the car a bit too hard. Daniel Kvyat in 9th, Daniel Ricciardo down in 10th, Pierre Gasly in 11th, Charles Leclerc 12th, George Russell up in 13th place, Romain Grosjean, weird morning, complaining about how terrible his car was, and then absolutely smashed in a lap that beat his teammate, but there you go. Nicholas Latifi 15th, Magnussen 16th, then it's the two Alphas, Giovinazzi 17th and Raikkonen 18th, Alexander Albon down in 19th. I've got to be honest, I was setting the stream up so I didn't really pay a massive amount of attention to FP3. I never really do. It's my least favourite session of the weekend. So I'm not sure why he's down there. Same with Lando Norris, perhaps just set up. I don't know. They got some good laps in, so it's maybe not mechanical, but I'll have a look on Twitter as we're live and see if there's anything in there that, I guess, tells us what's wrong, is what I'm going to say with that one. But yes, qualifying. Possibly, or potentially the most exciting part of this weekend. Let's be honest. Look, the point was made, and I've been making this point to so many people this year that have complained that Formula One is boring. A boring race, to me, is always better than no race at all. And a few people had to remind me of that in the comment section to the preview. So thank you so much to everyone who poked me with that stick going, come on, Sean, you're the one that keeps saying this. A boring Russian Grand Prix is better than no racing whatsoever. So I will take it. But if you caught the F2 this morning, some good overtaking. Mick Schumacher, spoiler alert, stunning overtake at one point. So it can be done, but it wasn't easy. And we didn't get epic racing. So hopefully, I'm really hoping, as I said in the preview, that with 2020 has been such a shockingly bizarre year, I'm really hoping that this is a year we actually get an epic Russian Grand Prix, because that would just be sod's law given this year, wouldn't it? Totally up for that one. But we'll say good afternoon to a few people in chat as we do when we do the watch-alongs, a bit more chilled these than the race reaction stream. I'm going to say good afternoon because that's where we are in the UK, but good afternoon to Nuke Dukem, Mr. Peng as well, Hater Sawn 28, Ringo, Super Gamer Pep, Zeontech. Hey to Flying Tiger, yo to you too. I'm too old to be doing stuff like that. Phil Potts here, good afternoon, mate. Hey to F1 Fanatics, good to see you. I don't know if that's Mike or Mark or Barry or Steve or Alan or John or however many there are over there with different names, but good afternoon to you. Hello as well to Corey, to Arnav, and to James. One more. Good afternoon to Oliver. Sup to you too. There you go. Are we race watch along? I don't know is the answer to that. I'm going to say no. And if I do, then that's a nice surprise. Still having issues, but I can't explain it. I'm not going to get into it now. Anyway, a couple of things I want to talk about today. I guess open the debate about reverse grid races in a moment, but just a little bit more on Stefano Domenicali, who, in case you missed the news yesterday, has been made F1's new CEO. He's going to take over from Chase Carey on the 1st of January next year. And it's got a mixed reaction. A few people concerned that we've got ex-Ferrari man all over the place in high positions in Formula One. And I kind of understand that. And I think, every time from next season that Ferrari get away, in air quotes, with something, people are going to start with the Ferrari international assistants. But I legitimately do believe that he is the right appointment. It's so important that Formula One has somebody in charge of the sport that understands it going into the future. I like Chase Carey, and I think Liberty Media have done a much better job than many people give them credit for. I think the job they've done on the social side of Formula One, I've said it before, I said it a lot last year, when you go back to the Bernie days, what did we ever get on the F1 YouTube channel? What did we ever see across F1 socials? There was nothing. The engagement they're driving has been fantastic, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. They also deserve a lot of credit for getting things like, all right, it's a bit dodgy at the minute, but the F1 TV off the ground, giving that option, getting a rival out there so that when contracts with these people like Sky come to an end, they've got something to barter with, and maybe we'll get some I don't know, just some competition out there, which is great. And I think they've done okay. They've got the rules for 2022. Are all in place now. They've got the Concord Agreement signed off, which was no mean feat given everyone's position. So I think they've done a great job. It could have been better, of course it could, but I sometimes wonder if having Chase Carey come in, he's not an F1 man, so he's come in and he's sat down, he's looked at the sport with a fresh pair of eyes and driven these changes, and he's got it as far as he can, which I kind of, for reasons I won't go into, totally sympathise with him. He's got it as far as he feels he can, and now it's time to bring somebody in who understands Formula One a little bit more and can maybe take the sport into the future. So I think he's done okay. I'm hoping he passes his moustache on to Stefano Domenicali. It'll be weird not seeing that wonderful tash around Formula One. But yeah, I'm quite happy with his appointment. Toto Wolff was one that was touted as a possibility as well, wasn't he? So I think he would have been possibly an even better appointment, and maybe there'd have been less concern. But yeah, a couple of people in chat, by the way, back on Alex Albon, just saying he had his lap time deleted. But what do you think in chat? Are you happy to see Domenicali come in? Hi, Mike. Sorry. Yeah, are you happy to see Domenicali come in, or do you think maybe keeping Chase Carey or having that non-F1 pair of eyes was the way to go into the future? I'm quite happy with it. I think he was a good call. Definitely a good call. Well, I guess we'll see. It's difficult to say, isn't it? He might be amazing. He might be terrible. We don't know until he kind of kicks on and gets started with whatever role or whatever his role is going to be. I'm intrigued to see if he's going to hold exactly the same position. Obviously, CEO is the same title that Chase Carey had, but I am quite intrigued as to whether or not he's still going to have the same job roles. If he's going to have to do the same stuff, or whether maybe they'll bring in somebody else as well. I do still find it fascinating that we've got 2-3 people doing the job that Bernie used to do, which, one, gives you some idea as to how knackered he must have been, and two, I think it's maybe better for Formula One to have a few more people at the top. I know, what's that saying? Is it an old saying? Something like too many cooks or something like that, can spoil the broth or whatever. I get that, but I think having a few more people up there to debate things and discuss things could work out. And with the changing in the governance structure and the way rules are going to be made, it just... Formula One needs it. Formula One needs to kick up the backside. That's what I'm going to say. And so doing that, having people there to put in other ideas is great. But one idea I know is very much frustrating people is the one of reverse grids. So we'll get onto that in a second. But let's have a look at what you were saying on Domenicali. Yash says, yes, he is very intelligent. Mr. Peng said Chase Carey's tash is the best. It's fantastic, isn't it? This is not the mustache word, but wow. I wish I could grow one like that. It'd be incredible. Arnav, sorry, I nearly butchered your name, says, do you think Lambo will come into the sport? Possibly. He was the boss there, wasn't he? I don't know if he still is or whether he's just got the one role. I understood it that he's moved to Formula One exclusively, but he may still hold ties there. There are some people asking if that means that the VW group are going to get involved in the sport because of his links there. We could do with it. It'd be great to have maybe an Audi come in or something like that. But the only thing I would say is, for someone like Audi, for example, they've got very tight ties to Formula E, and that is where the road car business is very much going to go, isn't it? To the route of the electric cars, to greener technology, and that is where their focus wants to be. So I'm not sure if they'd want to invest that money, especially now they've got to put up $200 million, when they come in as well. I'm not totally sure they'd fancy that. I think you've got to want to really, which is why the $200 million have been put in place, by the way. That little fee you've got to pay is that if you're coming into Formula One, you've got to be serious and want to be in Formula One. So it's kind of, it makes sense. It protects the other teams, gives them some value as well. So Lamborghini, I would love to. I think, didn't they used to do... They used to provide power units or engines, didn't they, in Formula One? Lamborghini. Now that may be false. I'm going back to GP Manager 2, the game on the PC. But just off the top of my head, I think they did. So coming back into Formula would be great. And if we can get another engine manufacturer in there, it's back to that thing I was saying about competition. If you've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Honda and Renault, that's great. But if you can get a Lamborghini coming in, providing a power unit, it'd be epic if Aston Martin were building a power unit. Obviously, they've got the ties to Mercedes. That's never going to happen. But it's always good to have competition. So I'd like to see them. Long story short, if you're asking me today, I don't expect to see any new manufacturers coming anytime soon. But I think a lot of people are going to be depending on, or the decisions will be dependent on what happens in 22. If 2022 works and the rules are the way that everybody wants them to go and the cost cap is working, I think 2024, 25 onwards is when we're going to see a lot of manufacturers and teams maybe starting to want to come into Formula One, maybe a little bit sooner, but they're going to want to see that it's competitive. There's no point, for example, is it Panthera maybe coming in? There's no point in them coming in now to potentially just drive around at the back of the grid. If 2022 on paper looks like it'll be brilliant, but if it's terrible, they've wasted money, they've wasted their time, they're not making anything from it. So wait and see if those rules are right and we'll see changes. And I think that's probably best as well because Formula One can tweak what they need to then too. But a couple more very, very quickly on Chase Carey. Mike says, think Domenicali has been smart since he's left Ferrari. Sounds like he's a good fit, but no idea how good he will be. Only time will tell. He's kept ties to Formula One, hasn't he, with the FIA, with their single-seater commission? Something like that. So yeah, I think he's got the ties there. He's kept the ties there, so that's good for Formula One and for Domenicali. The fact he stayed interested means that he knows what he's doing when he comes in. He understands things, but I think he'll be good with the politics. I think somebody else said that actually as well. Apologies if I missed it. There it is. Ringo says, understand team politics is important. Absolutely. And he will understand team politics given his time at Ferrari. Too many broths can spoil the cook, says Paris Precious. Very good. Flying Tiger won't miss the moustache. That's absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And yeah, I agree with most of it. Most, if not all of what you said, says Flying Tiger. Thanks, mate. It's nice that somebody agrees. It's a rarity these days. And I can tell you, Brett, it is a windy and about to get very wet Lincolnshire. Hope Yorkshire's okay. And good afternoon to Liam as well. Right. We've got 12 minutes till quali, so let's do reverse grids, then we'll do predictions. I'll throw it to you straight away in chat. Yes or no? Do you want to see reverse grids introduced to Formula One at 4 events next year? That is the proposal. So the idea is, or the proposal put forward or put into a fans poll is that they would do a 30-minute reverse championship order race on a Saturday instead of qualifying. I think it's 30 minutes or 25 laps, depending on how long it takes, basically. Maximum 30 minutes, but 25 laps. Go out in reverse championship order, so nobody can cheat that when we get into the season. Nobody can turn around and be like driving deliberately slowly so they start at the back of the grid, at the front of the grid. When you get to the mid-championship, not happen. That's irrelevant. Lewis Hamilton can drive as slowly as he wants across the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. He's still going to be starting from the back. It makes no difference. So that is the idea. They'd then race for that 25 laps, 30 minutes, and then whatever the order is at the end, which would not be that far away from where we are now, to be fair, whatever the order is at the end, that would be your starting grid for the race. There'd be no points handed out, and that is what they want to do at 4 races next year. Now, I'll tell you where I stand on this one. First of all, give it a go. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying it. If it's absolutely horrific and it's the worst thing they've introduced since that knockout timing qualifying thing they did a few years ago, then drop it and never do it again. If it's okay, maybe it can be tweaked and we can look at using it elsewhere. If it's brilliant, let's go for it. That's fantastic. However, my concern with this is, just think back to Monza. Just think back to that moment that Pierre Gasly crosses the line, Carlos Sainz is second, and Lance Stroll is third. The euphoria, the hype, that special moment, how great that felt and how fresh that felt for Formula One. Would that still have felt that way if, I don't know, who have we got? Let's look at a list of drivers. If we'd had Raikkonen, Magnussen, Latifi, and Kvyat winning the previous 4 qualifying races? I'd say no, because you'd be used to seeing those unusual results, because we're so used to seeing Mercedes dominate and Red Bull pick up the pieces. So any race win by an AlphaTauri or a Williams is going to be epic. But if that's happening every weekend in qualifying, does it really matter? It takes that shine off the Grand Prix. And I think F1 gets a lot of criticism, and I think some of it is very, very fair. It's not as competitive as it could be at the front of the grid. We all know that. We're not, I'm a huge F1 fan. I love the sport, but I'm not an idiot. I can see that Mercedes are dominating, and I get why people are frustrated with that. But I don't want Formula One's main event on a Sunday to lose its shine, to lose its importance. And it's more important. Aldas said it on Twitter the other day. I think somebody said it in the comment section. Pierre Gasly said it in the news roundup I did yesterday. In a quote from Pierre Gasly, that it's more important to get these cars right so they can race closely, so they can overtake. Throw as many gimmicks in as you want. It just takes away from Formula One. If they can get the cars right, that should be the focus. Getting them right, make them able to follow so they can overtake, so they can do close racing. That's what we need, not more gimmicks, because then we're just a step away from KERS and DRS and whatever else they can come up with to throw on these cars. So get the cars right, and if the cars are still not working, then maybe consider. So try it out next year, maybe at 4 events, and then if it's good, wait and see what 2022 brings. And if it doesn't make any difference, then maybe introduce them at a few races for 23, or even just have them as a... Because they're talking about wildcard races, aren't they? So a race that would rotate. So you might get Turkey one year, then another year you might get Imola, a year after that you might get Mugello. They're thinking about doing something like that in the future. Maybe do that with one-shot quali, with reverse grid races. Maybe 2 races a year, totally at random. They pick out and they are going to be the reverse grid races. But somebody made a great point, and I wish I'd screenshot the comments, so I'll give them a shout out for this. But they made a great point that perhaps it's a better idea to... Or I think I'd prefer it if it was a non-championship event. So let's say Lewis Hamilton wins the championship with 4 races to go, and the constructors is wrapped up as well. Maybe give reverse grids a row at Abu Dhabi, reverse grids a go at somewhere like Abu Dhabi or something like that, somewhere where it doesn't really make any difference to anything. So yeah, I'm kind of torn on it. I say give it a go, but I don't want it to take away from what is special about Formula One on a Sunday, and also, yeah, just feels like a band-aid, something Ross Brawn said that he was never going to do to Formula One. He didn't want to paper over the cracks. He wanted to find genuine solutions to genuine problems. Difficult. We'll see. I think they're going to go for it. With this, like I say earlier, the governance structure is changing. They don't need a unanimous approval from the teams anymore. So if they want to, I think they only need 8 teams to agree to it. I mean, McLaren have already come out in opposition, so that's not happening. If you've then got Mercedes saying no, which they will, Mercedes are absolutely going to say no. It sounds like Christian Horner's going to say no, so it probably won't get over the line, but I'm sure it's only 7 or 8 teams that need to say yes. So, I mean, they'll give it a go, or they'll try and give it a go. The problem is as well, and I've said this before, until it's tried, this debate is going to crop up all the time. So just try it, and if you hate it, fingers crossed for you that it's absolutely terrible, and then scrap it, and we never have to have the argument again. It's the same with things like Imola. I'm always banging on, totally for nostalgic reasons, about how much I love Imola as a track. If it's rubbish this year, I'll shut up about it, and I'll be like, well, it just doesn't work for modern day F1. The debate is over, so there you go. But also, I don't know about you guys, I'm also sick of Sky discussing it every weekend as well, that and track limits. A lot of no's in the chat, as you might expect. James has said yes, though. Josh is saying no. Eric says no. Scroll down a bit further. Tom, Techno Guy, no. Charles said yes. Matthew said yes. Yes as quali, says Nuke Duke. And that's the proposal, mate, is that they'll do it for quali, and that will set the grid for the race. So, yeah, we don't want it. I don't want one where... I don't want it to take the Formula 2 formula. I don't want it to take that where you have a race on a Saturday and a race on a Sunday. I don't know. The Grand Prix should be the one that gives the points, and should be the way to go. But a lot of Mika saying yes. One Dark Cat saying yes. It's a nah for addiction. It's a real mix of yes and no's, actually, more than I thought, but predominantly no's. The music has started, by the way, for qualifying. We'll go to the watch on screen shortly, but yeah, we'll see. I'm very good, thank you, Max. Nice, quiet chilled afternoon with you guys. I say quiet, I'm a gobshite, so it's not really quiet, is it? But you know what I mean. We'll chill out and we'll watch a bit of qualifying together. Got live timing and all that in a moment. Usual disclaimer, no race footage or on-track footage for what I think are blatantly obvious copyright reasons. My comment section would say otherwise, but I think, yeah, quite obvious why I can't show the footage. As soon as I've got the billion, I will go for it, I promise. Absolutely. Somebody asking for a word actually on Mick's win today. Kind of apt, isn't it? On a weekend where his dad's record is probably going to be equalled for wins, or there's a good chance that it's going to be equalled for wins, he goes and gets that win. Fantastic win. And that overtake was so... I saw, was it Jonty that shared a video from somebody on Twitter of Michael Schumacher's move on, I think it was Montoya in Australia, the cutback alongside Mick Schumacher's move today. They were so similar. And it was just like, yeah, like father, like son. I think he'll be in F1 next year. I'm doing my driver lineup predictions, by the way, late next week. It'll be Thursday or Saturday next week. So I'll not give too much away, but I'm pretty confident he will be in an Alfa Romeo next season, probably alongside, it sounds like, Kimi Räikkönen. He's set to let everyone know this weekend, or by the end of this weekend, what he's doing, or by the end of this month, which is pretty much the end of this weekend. So yeah, I think he'll stay on Kimi for another year, see them into the new regulations and let somebody else come in, sort of mentor maybe Mick Schumacher, and that'll be quite, call me soft if you want, but that'll be quite emotional, won't it? Kimi Räikkönen, the guy who took Michael Schumacher's seat at Ferrari when Schumacher decided to retire, teaming up with his son. It's kind of I like stuff like that. You know I'm weird. You know I love stuff like that. I can't help it. I'm soft. I know I am. You wouldn't have me any other way except possibly quieter. And by most people's words, probably uploading more often as well. So yeah, great drive from Mick today. Looking good for the title. I believe Ferrari, according to reports, have said that if he finishes top 3 in the championship, he's on for the Alfa Romeo drive. I think he's going to win the championship. And I was looking at his Euro F3 season from 2018. His second half of the year, or the back end of the year, where he just started winning constantly. That's how it feels, that he might just go on that run now, and that'll be it. So don't rule out Callum Ilott. I don't think Bobby Schwartzman's going to do it. He seems to have fallen off. Some good wins this year, but a real lack of consistency, which is really weird. I thought he was going to be the one to beat this year. And don't rule out Tsunoda either. He could be an F1 next year, and he's been performing very, very well. Just put my headphones on and have a drink of tea before we go over to the screen. Individual one says Mick is Ralph. I hope not. Ralph in disguise. Ralph Sharp, I will win a world championship one day. I will get in one of these cars, not in an Alfa, he won't. Some clouds. I'm going to head over to the Watchalong screen, just make sure it's all working. It should be. I might need to just put you guys in the chat window. I will keep an eye and make sure it's working this week. It should be doing. It was working for FP1, 2 and 3. That doesn't mean it'll be working for qualifying, no. No guarantees, obviously, but we will make sure. If not, I've got a backup option, so don't worry. And I can talk. Thank you as well to everyone for your awesome words and your awesome support on the channel changes. I know it's quite a shift away from the red and the black, but the channel was just getting so lost in a sea of red and black. You can blame F1 Fanatics, actually. He's here somewhere. Blame him for that. Stealing people's colour schemes. I'm joking, mate. It's all good. But yes, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Hopefully they should all work. Should be a bit bigger as well. So yeah, good to see fans. Good point from Techno Guy there. We've got, is it 30,000 each day this weekend in Russia for quali and practice and the race? That'd be cool. I think they are, yes, being tested for COVID. They're probably being tested constantly. But yeah, I better actually make sure that we've got the timers ready. Uh, 18 minutes for the first session, isn't it? So we'll set it at 17:45 so that I can time it up properly. Do you think Haas in Q3, says Rocket? Get your predictions in the chat, by the way. Who you think is taking pole position? I'll tell you mine. I think it's going to be Bottas. I'm going to stick with Bottas for pole, even though it looked pretty good this morning from that lap from Hamilton. And there we go. We've gone green, which is awesome. We're ready to go. We'll start the timer in just a second. And then we should be All good to go. Don't forget, if you are just tuning in, I messed up on the settings because YouTube is stupid. So we've got normal latency, so you're about 25 seconds behind me. So I'm saying this, you ain't going to hear it for 25 seconds. That's kind of a weird feeling, I can't lie. So it might take me a little bit longer to respond to you, or I might have to pause while I wait for responses for things. So bear with me. Is what I'm saying. Looks like a Premier League channel now. Lol, says Max. I'm not going to lie, I took inspiration from Buzz multi-feed or multiplayer and Football Daily. For the colour, I just love the colour scheme. I've always loved it. So I was like, do you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Make the change. If it upsets people to the point where they unsubscribe, then get a grip. It's what I want to say. If I'm being honest, it's a colour scheme. It's nice to work with some more vibrant colours as well, he says, on a predominantly black and grey screen, but shut up. It's fine. Let's get the official live timing up so I can keep up to date on that. We've got George Russell out there on the medium tyres, apparently. Some talk yesterday that Mercedes might try and get through on the hard tyre because it's last year's medium, so it's a good race tyre in theory. I think that's ambitious. They've got a good... What's a phrase I'm looking for? They've got a good gap, let's put it that way, to the rest of the field. So trying the hard tyre in Q2 might be worth a gamble. It's just whether is that worth the risk when it comes to the Grand Prix tomorrow? Because yes, they can run long, but if you're Mercedes, you want a bit of extra grip off the line, don't you? You don't want Verstappen behind you on a soft tyre when you're starting on the hard, because he'll just be straight off and that'll be that. So, yeah. It's a difficult call for Mercedes because they have got that dominance in qualifying, but they don't want to then be sacrificed in the race. We've got Bottas and Hamilton coming out now. Looks like we've got the two Alphas as well. Indeed. And another Alpha in the Alpha Tauri just behind those two. I think we'll call them Alpha and Tauri, I think is the way we'll go with this one. I think so. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. 589 live at the moment. Please do hit that like button. Massively appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. The content over the last few days, apart from the visual changes, obviously, and this weekend, might feel pretty much the same as normal. Hopefully a bit more chill. That was the idea. But from next week onwards, there will be a little bit of a tweak to a few things as well that you'll notice a bit more. So it's all good. Nothing major. I'm not suddenly going to go off and start covering bananas or whatever. I don't know. Why bananas? That's what I went with. George Russell out there, first one to do a hot lap. First sector, 34.822. Every time I hear multi, I think of multi 21, Seb. Same. See, I always defend Seb over that, but I get why why people got angry with it, because it was a team order, wasn't it? It was an instruction from the team not to go overtaking your teammate, but at the same time, let them race. Kind of where I'm at with that one. That always annoys people. For some reason, we're not updating again, so I'll go to the backup if it doesn't update in a moment. Hopefully, it will do as drivers start to set lap times. Russell done the first two sectors. Obviously, purple in both sectors. He's the only one setting a time. There we go. He's come straight in the pits, says George Russell, curiously, so he's not going to complete that lap. Wish Vada says, I wish Sky would dump Crofty, reason I'm here. Thank you, I appreciate that. Have I spelled Cranky Yankee wrong? I'll sort it in a minute. I've Cranny Yankee. Indeed I have. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's I don't mind Crofty. I get why people get annoyed with him. I mean, look, I've tried to do live comms before, and I'm doing it now, but in like a proper race situation. Brazil last year was chaos. But it's quite hard, and I don't have all the stuff that he has, but it is quite difficult to do. So I'll always give him credit for that. But I've got to be honest, I love Alex Jakes in that commentary box. I love listening to him on F2, so he'd be brilliant in Formula One. Part of the reason I'd love to get F1 TV in the UK, because it'd be great to be able to watch that, to listen to him. So yeah, I get it, but he's all right. He's all right. Got Bottas, obviously purple. Hamilton not purple in the first sector. Actually, a second slower than Bottas in the first sector. which is odd. So we'll see now. He's a second down in that first sector. Bottas 31.7 in the middle. I'm just watching the. Sorry, I am paying attention. I'm also watching the live timing to see how quickly it updates versus the official live timing. It's actually not bad at all, to be honest. Good work from Cranky Yankee. A lot more up to date than some of them. Some of them take forever to update, a lap at a time. Well, very wide out the final corner from Bottas, but as long as he stays on that red and white curb, he will not have his lap time deleted, and Valtteri Bottas crosses the line to go fastest on a 1:32.656. Lewis Hamilton well behind, 1:34.265. That is not a great lap from Lewis Hamilton. Well off his teammate there, 1.6 seconds. It's curious. Alice Player says with Coulthard 2 is a good pairing. Yeah, it would be a good pairing. I'd probably prefer Alex Brundle. Be kind of cool, but yeah. I like Ben Edwards as well, Alice. I do like Ben Edwards. I often watch the highlights on a Sunday night just because it's nice to hear, especially after Monza. Hearing his excitement as Gazzy goes over the line and all the stuff going on there, that was always fun to watch. So, yeah. Strolly Boy goes second, 1:34.4. Hamilton says no time, so I assume his lap time was deleted for track limits. It would have probably popped up on screen, so I missed that one. Yeah, lots of lap times being deleted according to Crofty. So there you go. Perez goes second, a second off Valtteri Bottas. So there's a second between the Mercs and the rest of the field, it feels. Charles Leclerc goes third. Good lap. It's only Q1, but good lap from Charles there. Max Verstappen currently fifth, 1.9 off. He did put in a lap this morning, which got people excited, and then ended up with Sainz and co between him. So Mercedes very much in control. This is a track that we come to every year. And I know that you should probably say about most tracks at the minute, but it's one of those tracks that it's pretty much a guarantee. Unless something goes wrong, Mercedes are going to be pole and probably the win as well. So Hamilton went wide through turn 2, cut across the chicane, over the bumps. He was in a lot slower, but despite the fact he would have lost a hell of a lot of time there, that is where his second went. They have still deleted his lap time. So it is a no-nonsense approach from the stewards. It's not one of those, if you lost time, we will delete your time. Your time is being deleted, and that's that. So that's kind of good. Yeah, Magnus is similar to Hamilton's, just lost so much time, but he still has his lap time deleted. So, like I say, good shout, I think, that from the FI. Just keep it consistent. If you go beyond the white lines, your time is deleted, whatever reason. Findlay said, Ferrari should have won easily last year. Agree. Too busy messing about with team orders, weren't they, last season in Russia? That cost them big time. Just on screen now, Mercedes have won every race at Sochi. I think they've won. Have they won most Russian Grand Prix? If not all of them, even pre-World Championship. It's very much a Mercedes country, apparently. There you go. Not just track, but a Mercedes country. Here comes Hamilton now. He is down in the middle in the first sector. We'll see what he does through the middle. Bottas did a 1:05.493 in the middle sector. Got a little traffic ahead of him, but these will be the same tyres. A little bit of a tow, but Norris was backing off, so probably not that much in the end. And that long sweeping DRS straight. Ricciardo goes up to 5th on a 1:34.344. A couple of tenths down in the middle. Lock up on the outside as well from Hamilton, the left front. Locked up a lot yesterday. It was a very scruffy Friday from a lot of drivers, actually. So just finding the limits, track rubbering in. Sparks flying as he shot across there. Couple more corners. Still on board with him. So he's trying to be at 1:32.6. He's not going to get to a 1:32.6 unless he has an epic final sector. Stays within the track limits. 3 tenths off his teammate, goes P2. Yeah, Vettel's engine blew last year as well. Ironically, triggering the virtual safety car that allowed Mercedes to make their cheap pit stops and give them the win. Ironically, Ferrari really screwing themselves over that weekend, weren't they? Really intrigued by McLaren's pace. Kvyat goes 11th. Max Verstappen is on a better first sector, not a great middle sector, but intrigued by McLaren's pace. Carlos Sainz up in 4th. They were really off it Friday morning, and since then they've sort of come good. So hopefully McLaren will be right up there, but it's that midfield. I was saying to Jonty, it's very hard to get excited constantly about the fight for P7, but that midfield is so insane. There's nothing between them. I say it was actually 2 tenths between Verstappen and Albon yesterday afternoon. I said in the video 4 tenths because I was reading the wrong one. Typical me, but there was only a couple of tenths between them two, and I think the difference was Verstappen was 5th or 6th and Albon was 12th. That's how close it is, so loving it. If anyone in chat, by the way, happens to be watching the football at the same time as the Formula 1, please feel free to keep me updated with how badly Man United are doing. I assume already losing about 3-0. Watching Hamilton, little lock up on the outside, the left front. Tiffy, everybody coming back into the garage then. So your order at the moment, it is on screen, but I'll read it out for those who maybe can't read that very well. I know it's a bit smaller. It should be bigger this week than it was the other week, so that's good. That's the biggest I'm going to be able to go. But Valtteri Bottas is currently fastest on 132.656. Lewis Hamilton second on a 133.983, 3 tenths further back. 7 tenths back is Sergio Perez, a second off the pace, but 7 tenths off Hamilton in third. Carlos Sainz is in 4th place, 1.3 back. Verstappen in 5th, about 100th off Sainz, just ahead. So, again, nothing. Couple of tenths between 3rd and 5th. 6th place is Charles Leclerc. 7th is Daniel Ricciardo. 8th is Pierre Gasly. 9th, Alex Albon. 10th is Lance Stroll. Lando Norris 11th. Kvyat is 12th. George Russell 13th with a shot here of getting out of Q1. 14th for Vettel, 15th for Magnussen, 16th for Ocon, 17th for Raikkonen, 18th for Giovinazzi, 19th for Grosjean, and 20th for Latifi. So Ocon, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Grosjean, and Latifi are your bottom 5, and Magnussen is on the bubble, as we like to call it. Let's adjust that slightly so we get Latifi on the screen. But yes. Rain possibly rolling in. I did get a message off somebody who's out in Russia, so thank you to Olaf for that message over on Twitter saying the clouds are getting thicker. So if we are expecting rain, it won't rain. That's how I've got it, so yeah. 1-0 to Brighton? No. 1-1 apparently now. All right. I'm not going to believe you. I am really. Here they come for the final runs. What is the gap between Red Bull and Ferrari, or Ferrari and Red Bull? So Max Verstappen 133.9, Leclerc 134.0. So about a tenth of a second. So not bad at all from Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel though, about 8 tenths off Max Verstappen, down in 14th. So yeah. Yeah, not. I put in my predictions on Wednesday. I said Vettel for an early exit. I'm not a million miles away from that. I don't want that to be the first thing I get right this weekend. Poor Seb. This is Karun Chandok. I like Karun Chandok in the commentary box as well, by the way. Going round. Just ignore the timing. It's just updating because they're all on outlaps. Just takes a minute to catch up. So Bottas, Hamilton, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Norris, Fiat, Russell, Vettel, Magnussen, your top 15. Ocon, Raikkonen, Gio, Grosjean and Latifi, your bottom 5. Everyone going out for their laps. Hamilton still in the pits. Perez, Sainz and Leclerc as well. I can't believe Leclerc feels safe up in 6th place. Only 7/10 clear of his teammate in 14th. No. I'm not sold on that, to be honest. Here we go. The backing up effect. All wanting a toe down that lovely long straight. If we go quiet, by the way, I'm just having a drink or updating something on screen. I'm not ignoring you all, promise. Ocon is going to be first sent. So who's going to get the slipstreams? So it looks like Kimi Raikkonen just behind him might get one. Ocon into turn 1. Be nice to go on board with that Renault, actually. They're another team that have, like I said earlier, surprising me this weekend. We've got 1 minute and 15 to go. And that's a very, very slow Alfa Romeo. I believe that's Kimi Raikkonen. Is he pulling off the track? I think he's just getting out of people's way. I think he's had an issue into turn 2. So I think that's Kimi Raikkonen out. He won't get around to get another lap in. So Kimi's out. We know that one. I'm assuming just a mistake at turn 2 and he's just tucked on the inside to stay out of everyone's way. But he's definitely off the track. Ocon now opens the DRS. Kind of my favourite part of Russia, this one. Turn 3 is fantastic, but in terms of a section, just this run all the way down the long straight into that sort of chicaney thing. It's not quite a chicane, is it? But you know what I mean. The right, left. Couple of corners to go for Ocon. Where is he at the moment? So he's down in 16th. He needs a good lap here. Latifi's going to be first to get across the line. Will he get through? Latifi goes 15th. He's just out. I think he's going to fall back into that drop zone. But that's not a bad lap from Latifi at all, as Ocon goes 3rd on a 1:33.5 from 16th to 3rd. Very good lap from Esteban Ocon. Giovinazzi goes 14th. Ricciardo goes 4th. So Renault 3 and 4 behind the 2 Mercedes at the moment. Here comes Rogro. Goes up to 14th. Can he sneak out a qualifying one? Tricky one, isn't it? Norris moves up into 6th place. He's safe there. What can Kevin Magnussen do? He's next to cross the line and goes only 17th. Sebastian Vettel needs a hell of a lap here. He's down in 18th place at the minute. Can't afford any mistakes. Daniel Kvyat is going to complete his. Goes up to 3rd. Where's that come from, Kvyat? Purple final sector. 8/10 off the Mercedes. Vettel over the line, only 11th, but is through. 1:34.1 just behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. Stroll goes up into 8th place. Here comes Max Verstappen. 5th. 5th from Mr. Max. Not bad. Gasly over the line, P8. Not bad. He'd want 3rd at worst, wouldn't he? But yeah, that'll do. Albon over the line will go through into 11th place. What can Georgie boy do? It is Q2 for Russell, P13. Good lap. Good lap. I tell you what, Vettel and Leclerc only just scraping through. Sorry, Sean, you're ahead and spoiling it for me. Even with the extra later, I'm so sorry, genuinely. Yeah, it's the other way around. I was going to say, pause your stream, but no point, because you're behind. Sorry about that. I'll light it. Nothing's happened yet. Honestly, but for anybody who's not behind, we've lost Romain Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, Nicholas Latifi, and Kimi Raikkonen. Sebastian Vettel squeezes through. I say squeezes through, 4/10 of a second ahead of Romain Grosjean. And Charles Leclerc said he can't have been comfortable. He has got through, despite not going for another lap, but he's only just got through. He'd have been sweating a little bit there, but Romain Grosjean, kind of gutted for him, actually. That was not actually a bad lap at all, but P16 still out. He's ahead of Gio and Magnussen and Latifi and Raikkonen, though. Good effort. Good effort from Grosjean. And that is Q1 over with. I'll run through the order in just a minute. And we'll talk about, like I say, yeah, Leclerc, I think he would have been sweating in the garage. He's got through, which is all that you need to do. But I think that was a little bit closer than Ferrari would have liked it to have been. And Vettel, despite jumping up to 11th, actually drops down to 15th, doesn't he? So once everyone got the laps in. But great lap from George Russell to end up in P13. Alex Albon in 11th. I think the big laps there were Russell, 13th, and Daniel Kvyat in P3 with a purple final sector. I have no idea where that pace came from. We often have a lap from an AlphaTauri boy, don't we? At some point over a weekend, usually in qualifying, one of the sessions where we go, wow, what was that? That happened to be Daniel Kvyat today. Ocon as well in 4th. Max in 5th. So, yeah. Not at all. Let's run through the order then. Valtteri Bottas was fastest in Q1, 132.6. Lewis Hamilton, second on a 132.9, 3 tenths behind. I think that was his second run, though. Not making excuses for him, but there was that error at the second corner. Did Max Verstappen get through on mediums? The official timing is saying Max Verstappen a 133.6 on mediums in P5. If he did, that's actually quite impressive. But Daniel Kvyat in 3rd, 133.5. Esteban Ocon, 4th, also a 133.5. A 133.6 for Max Verstappen, also a 133.6 for Daniel Ricciardo. It's so tight in that midfield. Sergio Perez, 133.7. Pierre Gasly, 133.7. Lando Norris, 133.8. Lance Stroll, also a 133.8. It's a 133.9 for Albon, with Sainz also popping in a 133.9 in 12th. George Russell, getting out of Q1, 134.0, also on a 134.0, with Charles Leclerc, with Sebastian Vettel in 15th on a 134.1. And just a reminder, we've lost Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Latifi, and Raikkonen. How weird is that you've got 33.5s together, 33.6, 33.7. It's sort of in twos, which is quite weird down the timing screen. I like that. But yeah, according to live time, Max Verstappen did his lap on the medium tyres. 3 laps. If he did, that's actually a very impressive time. All right, 9 tenths off, but you got to allow, 4, 5 tenths for the difference in compound? Oh, Raikkonen spun, it looks like, at turn 2. Just showing the replays. That's what happened there. Better update the session because it's not Q1 anymore. It's about to become Q2. Keep an eye out for tyres on this one. Watching Russell's lap, Anthony Davidson doing some analysis on the old SkyPad. I'm hoping they're going to show Kimi Raikkonen on board with his, I think it was a spin. It looked like a spin on board with Gio. It's just showing the replays at turn 2 of cars running off track and getting times deleted. Verstappen got his deleted as well, I think. Not his, he is still through, but earlier. Oh no, just getting a bit slidey. That's okay. Ocon into 1. Yeah. The tricky corners to get right. Nico Rosberg, was it 2014, 2015, somewhere around there? Massive lock up into turn 1, then pitted in at the end of the first lap. Did that epic comeback. Tricky corners to get right. Getting ready for Q2 now. See where we're at. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. 940 odd. All very, very welcome. Thanks for joining me this Saturday afternoon for a bit of a waffle about Formula One. Please do like the stream as well, or drop a like on the stream if you'd like to. That would be massively appreciated. Really helps the channel out. I was going to say makes these worth doing, but I like doing them anyway. So if there's only one of you here, I'd still be doing it and just telling you to make extra accounts to like the stream, so it's fine. Here we go. We've gone green for the second session today, Q2, and everybody heading out nice and early. So we've got Vettel's going out. Both the Ferraris are out there. I think we've got both the Mercedes. I think. Was that the Mercedes? Look at the back there. Both the Renaults going out as well. AlphaTauri. Yeah, pretty much everybody going out straight away. So we've got Bottas, Hamilton, Fiat, Ocon, Norris, Stroll, Sainz, Leclerc, Vettel and Perez out there. So about just over half the grid. I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think George Russell will get through to Q3. Saying that because I generally jinx things. So how amazing would it be for that Williams to get through to Q3? I can't see it, but you never know. You never know. Some stats on... Is Daniel Kvyat only 26? Feels like he's been around forever, doesn't it? There you go. Let's just look at the stats there for Kvyat on screen. Daniel says, is rain expected? It's a bit cloudy. I don't know what the official chance of rain is, but if it's anything above 60%, it won't happen. Tends to be the way it goes in Formula, but it's definitely cloudier than it was forecast to be. There was a slight chance of rain in the afternoon towards the end of the session, but I don't think they're expecting any. Ocon being warned about a traffic jam at the end of the lap. Is it a strategy for the Mercedes to get P2 to get the slipstream tomorrow to get ahead into turn 2? That's from Jonathan. Do you mean one of the Mercedes? So Hamilton trying to be behind Bottas or Bottas built, or do you mean give up? I don't think I'll give up pole and front row and all of that. I mean, it is a bit kind of like a couple of races we've had recently, Belgium and Monza as well. There is that massive run to the first chicane. So I call it turn 1. They call it turn 2. It's not. It's turn 1 as far as I'm concerned. That kink is not a corner. You barely have to do anything on it. But yeah, I think there is... If Verstappen can get third, for example, he's in with a great shot of splitting the Mercedes into turn 1. A few drops of rain for whoever was asking about the weather. There you go. A few spots of rain are starting to land, so getting your laps in now is important. But no, I don't think... I mean, if Mercedes end up losing pole, which I can't see happening, then second, third place isn't going to be the end of the world. But I think either driver would prefer to be on pole. And that's an obvious statement, but... Got Seb Vettel then. Everyone except George Russell out there. One of the Racing Points saying spots of rain. Obviously, it'll take a while for that to make any difference. It's quite warm in Russia, apparently, at Sochi this year. So, usually they're a little bit later in the year. I'll say that. They're only a couple of days earlier this year than they were last year, I think. So, I think some rain would be good to spice it up to maybe give a Verstappen, for example, a chance at sort of splitting the Mercedes on the front row. But if it rains, then you're probably looking at Hamilton pole and then maybe Verstappen second. So here comes Seb then. Final corner, Hamilton 32.0, Bottas 9/10 slower. Vettel across the line 33.6. He's 1.6 seconds or 1.5 seconds off Lewis Hamilton. Norris at 1:33.0. He's a second off Hamilton's time. But why is Bottas 9/10 slower than Hamilton? Half a second down in the first sector, 2 seconds down in the 2/10 down in the middle sector, and matched him in the final sector. So maybe a mistake at turn 2. That chicane. Ocon goes P5, 33.1. Kvyat 33.2. Hamilton's lap time deleted. So Carlos Sainz is currently your fastest driver. And end qualifying there. Sainz and Perez front row, Bottas third, Norris fourth. That'll do. Stop the session. It's over. That's fine. Nothing against Hamilton, but that would be one hell of a race tomorrow if that was the case. So Hamilton, yeah, track limits. That might be why. His time was so much better than Bottas. That was surprisingly quick. Ricciardo goes fastest. 1:32.2. So Ricciardo, Sainz and Perez are your top 3. Imagine just tuning in now and not knowing that Hamilton's time had been deleted and hearing that. What? Is Sean drunk? Here we go. Let's have a look at what Hamilton did. He's on the mediums. He's wide out to the final corner. Over the curb and over the white line, and that is lap time deleted. But medium tyres for those interested. Bottas, Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton all going for the mediums. Hamilton coming in for another set of medium tyres. He's got to get his lap right, though. He's only going to get one chance. Yeah, Hamilton is going back to the medium tyre, a new set of mediums, but they've pitted him, so yeah. Here's Bottas, and so this is why Bottas was so far off. He's really wide and just keeps the tyre on the red and white curb, so that's why his time was allowed, but it was really wide and really back end was all over the place, so that's why he lost quite a bit of time. I thought 9/10 was a bit much. I say that, though, his final sector matched Lewis Hamilton. So that can't be where he lost to 9/10. 9/10 was in the first sector, or his half a second was in the first sector, and then 2/10 in the middle. So no, that doesn't make sense. Karun Chandok saying there, kind of what I was just saying about the final corner costing the time, but it can't be when you think about it. I'm just listening to Karun Chandok there. Sorry, I find him really. I like having him and Nico Rosberg and Jenson Button around because it's nice to have an ex driver's point of view. Essentially, with the greatest of respect to pundits and whatnot across the world, the drivers tend to know a bit more what they're talking about. They've got a bit more knowledge, haven't they, on track, on what happens in the car and on track, particularly like Nico Rosberg, who's driven this generation of Formula One cars, and Jenson Button as well. So, love having them in the commentary box. Michael says British drivers are so much better than their cricket players. I hope you're not trying to banter me with cricket because I couldn't give a toss, mate. I have never watched cricket in my life, ever. Which is weird because random story as Russell comes around to do his that. My granddad used to play cricket for Yorkshire, so there you go. I probably should watch it, but I just have no interest in it at all. George Russell then, his car performance scores. He is first. Apparently, 8.3 out of 10. Hamilton, 7.9 out of 10. That Williams, officially, in terms of performance down the straights, better than a Mercedes. There you go. Yes, Crofty. Crofty saying what a grid this would be to start the race. It absolutely would. Ricardo, Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Norris, Gasly, Verstappen, Ocon, Leclerc, Fiat. Not sure Albon, Stroll, Vettel and Hamilton will agree down there in 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. But yeah, I think that'd be a good bit of fun tomorrow. I'd enjoy that. I think Mercedes will still win the race. 1-2, but yeah. So Russell's going in the gap as he tends to do when he gets through to Q2. He's on a soft tyre. 33.8 in the first sector. We're on board with him actually, so we'll enjoy this little moment. I will do my terrible commentary as we go. Down into turn 13. Gets it really nice, actually. Good middle sector as well from George Russell. 32.3 to 15 and then 16. And then it will really surprise you to hear that next up it's 17 and 18, the final two corners. Looking good in that Williams, actually. It's not, obviously not on rails when you compare it to a Mercedes, but it's not absolutely horrendous. Over the line he goes, P13, a 133.583. I will go out on a limb and say that he won't be staying there with Vettel and Hamilton behind him, but a good lap from Russell, and to be fair, only 3/10 off of P10. So only 3/10 off Q3. So not bad at all from George Russell there. It's great to see Williams in better shape than they have been in recent years, I've got to say. I haven't got to say, I want to say. Interesting interview actually with the new owners of Williams on Sky before the session got underway, and they do, Dorilton Capital do sound like they are in it for the long haul. I'm a bit unsure because they're all investment and all of that, so we'll see. But apparently they are in it for the long term, so we'll see. Here goes Bottas then on the medium tyres again. Obviously not comfortable in P4. Lewis Hamilton will be on the mediums too when he goes out. We'll keep an eye on Bottas here through that lovely turn 3. I do enjoy that corner. Purple, unsurprisingly from Bottas, 33.3. Ricciardo, yeah, 3/10 quicker than Ricciardo. Daniel Prince says Ricciardo going for the podium. I'd love to see that. I want to see a Renault up there before the end of the year, and it'd be nice if Danny Rick could be the one to do it, seeing as he's leaving as well. It might make his move to Renault a little bit easier to swallow if he can get himself a podium this year. But I think, yeah, I'd love to see Danny Rick up there. Or Ocon, either. Have we had 9 people on the podium so far? 9 drivers? So it'd be nice to get a 10th up there, wouldn't it? This year, half the field on the podium. It's been a while since we said that, I feel like. Yeah, has been, so that'd be nice. Green in the middle sector from Bottas, not purple, slower than Daniel Ricciardo, so... Or slower than Hamilton's purple, whoever got purple in the middle, but here he comes, through turn 18, Valtteri Bottas over the line, only a 32.4. Ricciardo stays fastest, he is on a soft tyre though, it should be said. Here comes Hamilton now, purple in the middle sector, so Ricciardo's still fastest despite Bottas going again, but that is probably down to tyre compounds. Hamilton with a few more corners to go. Oh, massive crash for Sebastian Vettel. That'll be the red flag. And Lewis Hamilton, will he get his lap in? Red flag before Hamilton gets his lap in. We have got a shootout for the top 10. Sebastian Vettel is in the wall. So that has cost Lewis Hamilton dear, is what Crofty's focusing on. My focus is on, is Sebastian Vettel okay? Which is probably where your focus should be, Crofty, but I'm sure... he looks okay, he's moving in the car, but that looks like a fairly hefty shunt. 2 minutes and 15 to go. The clock does stop. Yes, Vettel's fine. The clock does stop for qualifying, not practice, but it does for qualifying. So we have got a top 10 shootout and needing a lap. Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll, Alex Albon, and then I'd probably say Kvyat, well, probably most of the top 10 are needing a shot. It's a big crash for Vettel. We'll wait for a replay. So I was wrong as well on George Russell. George Russell will stay there at the minute because Lewis Hamilton hasn't set a lap time. George Russell might be will be 14th now. I suspect medical car deployed, but Vettel is out the car. Looks okay. Picking up the front wing. I'd put that in the bin with the rest of that car, mate, and come back next year with Aston Martin. How has it gone so wrong for Ferrari this year? I laugh, but I'm laughing out of I'm just bemused by it. I know it's the engine as well, but wow. So it comes through turn 3. Everything is okay. Into 4. Oh, and he just clunks the curb. Back end gets away. Into the wall. Not actually as hefty a shunt as I thought, but big enough. Yeah, he touches the inside curb, just clips it quite nicely. Back end steps out and round it goes and straight into the wall. Ooh, Leclerc, I tell you what. See, that's the danger of sending your cars out together. Charles Leclerc very nearly collecting Sebastian Vettel. Oh. That was close, yeah. Good reaction from Leclerc. I mean, if Leclerc had hit Vettel then, that would have just compounded, wouldn't it? Ferrari's miserable season. I legitimately believe looking at the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari are more likely to be passing AlphaTauri than they are to finish any higher in the championship. I think they need to be trying to keep themselves ahead of them. But here comes Hamilton back to the pits. It'll take a while to clear this one up. I probably ought to put the red flag on, hadn't I? There you go. We are red. The Bono just telling Hamilton that there's still time to do a proper outlap. So that's good news for Hamilton. If you're just tuning in, we've got a red flag here. Sebastian Vettel with a nasty shunt down at turn 4, but he is okay. Time has stopped at 2:15. Hamilton was on a lap, improving massively and looked set to go fastest on the medium tyres. But the red flag came out before he got across the line, so he's had to come into the pits. So he's now on he's used 2 sets of mediums in his session. His first lap time was deleted. His second didn't get completed, did it, because of the red flag. So he hasn't got a fresh set of medium tyres, and it looks like they're going to put the soft tyres on instead. A fresh set of softs, which will mean that they are splitting the strategy at Mercedes for tomorrow. Fascinating. Actually, do you know what? Yeah, Hamilton, please go for the soft tyre. It'll probably give him pole. Give him an advantage early on, sorry. What am I about pole? It's Q2, Sean. It'll probably put him fastest in this session and would give an advantage tomorrow. But splitting the Mercedes strategy might actually give us a race at the front tomorrow. So yeah, go on, Lewis. Put the softs on. They're just getting Vettel's car out of the way now. They'll have a bit of debris to clean up. I'm doing that thing again. You can't see. I need to get a camera for these because I do it all the time. I try and lean so I can look round a TV camera to see if they've cleared the debris. It makes no difference, Sean. It's not a window, it's a TV. I'll get help, I promise. So, running order, Ricciardo 132.2, Bottas 32.4, then it's Sainz in third on a 32.7, Perez fourth, Norris fifth, and Gasly in sixth. 33.0, 33.0, 33.1 respectively. Max Verstappen seventh. He set his first time on the mediums, as did Bottas, so they can start on that tyre if they get through. But I wonder if Max might go with the softs just to guarantee he gets through. Ocon 8th, Leclerc 9th, Daniel Kvyat in 10th. Then it's Albon, Stroll, Russell, Vettel and Hamilton in the drop zone. Then Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Latifi and Raikkonen all dropped out of Q1. Vettel just showing a replay again of his crash at turn 4. He just hits the curb, back end gets away, into the wall he goes. Session stop, 2 minutes 15 to go. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Keep us busy. Something to talk about. The debris... They've got the car clear. Just watching now, Leclerc comes through the... Yeah, he's not... Oh. He was a fair way behind Seb, to be fair, so it's surprising. I suppose he's not focusing on a car in the middle of the track, is he, at that point? So, there you go. Techno Guy says this outlap is going to be insane. I think we're going to see, which is why I'm glad I don't do the post-qualifying videos anymore, I think we're going to see a fair few steward investigations that are going to take hours to decide. It looks like we're getting ready at the end of the pit lane. They are going to queue. Albon bouncing down there. So we've got 2:15 to go. Crofty just making... I was going to say, there's nothing on the timing screens. He's making the point on TV. Nothing on the timing screens to say session will start at this time. So, obviously the teams have got that information and we haven't. I wonder why. They've all gone down there. Except for... We've got a traffic jam at the end of the pit lane. And we don't know when the session's starting. Last Q2 elimination for Lewis Hamilton was Germany 2018, 41 race. Was that when he pushed his car back? Or tried to push his car back to the pit lane? Went over the curb a bit hard. Did some damage. But that's how long it's been since he went out in Q2. Such is Mercedes dominance. We've got 2 Red Bulls, 2 AlphaTauris down there. I think we've got a Ferrari in there as well. A Racing Point, both McLarens all queuing at the end of the pit lane. Just sat there casually. I don't know what to do. It's like, are we about to go green? No notification to say what time the session will start. Ocon's still in the pit garage. Hamilton going to head down now. He is going out on a soft tyre. So Mercedes... Well, I was going to say Mercedes splitting it. They've kind of been forced to split their race strategy, haven't they? So... Mo Nursey, I lean in the direction I'm turning when playing racing. I do that all the time. Playing F1 2020, if I'm going around a left-hander, I'm leaning the other way. Or leaning into that corner. I do want to drive a real car as well. When I'm on the road, go around a roundabout, I lean right in. Because, 15 miles an hour is super quick. Let's see. 15:48 is what we've got. 2 minutes till the session starts, and we've been sat down there 2 or 3 minutes. So I don't know what's going on there. Okay, that is... Wow. We've got a couple of minutes to go yet, and they're all just sat down there waiting and have been for a while. So I can't remember the last time we saw something like this. I think we're about to go green. Hamilton, like I say, on the soft tyre. So I'm looking... That's just spiced up tomorrow's race very nice. He'll not be happy. As you would expect, Mercedes won't be either. But, yeah, Lance Stroll in a... Has he hit somebody? No. The Stroll seems to have a problem. Mechanics in the fast lane, which they're not supposed to do. Oh, Fiat. That's why Albon was in the slow lane. Verstappen, sorry. We're waiting for that green flag. And then we can go for Q2. It's going to feel like a Q3 shootout, this one. Stroll has been wheeled back to the garage. So Stroll has a problem. Unless they can fix that super quickly. What's the lap around here? 132.2. So if he doesn't do a proper outlap, he'll be okay. We are green. But he hasn't got long. He's got about 30 seconds to fix whatever that is. So I think Lance Stroll is probably out of qualifying. And don't forget, he's actually got the updates on that car. Sergio Perez didn't, because they didn't have time to build any more after the damage at Stroll's car. So this is going to have to be a pretty flat-out lap. So Hamilton out there and co. They're not going to get time to do a proper outlap. Really. So I agree with Karun Chandok. We know Stroll's in the pits. He's not going to get a lap in. We don't need to watch him. Let's see what's going on with Hamilton and co. Because they're going to back each other up. The last place you want to be is at the back of that queue. Because they're all going to slow right down. Hamilton is at the back of that queue. This could be a shot. So what happened in the pit lane? Watching a replay. Oh, Hamilton's back end got right away. He is at the back of the queue. Hamilton being told by Bono to get past the cars ahead. Now then. Just this, Chandok just talked about the driver tracker. Sorry, I need to relay the information if you're not watching it, because it's really interesting. Gasly out there has backed up everybody on pit exit, as everybody does when they're going on outlaps, and that means that it's going to be nip and tuck if all of those behind Pierre Gasly are going to get a lap in here, and there's a lot of cars behind Pierre Gasly. So Verstappen starts his, he's fine. Albon's going to start his, he's fine. I don't think Lewis Hamilton's going to get to the line. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think He's just made it. I think he made it by about a second. Oh, that was brave. He backed right off in the final corner. And I didn't think he was going to get across the line. He did it with about a second to spare. That is the checkered flag, by the way. Thank you very much, Mayhem. As a fairly new F1 fan, I really appreciate your channel. Thank you. That's really lovely to have. Thank you. What a lovely comment. I'll talk in a bit. We'll talk in a bit. I've got to focus on the quality. But yeah, appreciate that comment. Thank you. Max Verstappen coming through now the middle sector, half a second down on Ricciardo. Not a huge amount of pace in that Red Bull this weekend versus what I was expecting, and a lot of us were expecting. Hamilton 33.8. We'll keep an eye on him because he's the one that everyone's going to be watching. But there's a lot of people here. Albon's in the drop zone. Stroll isn't going to get out. He's in the pits. Vettel won't. So it's between... There's actually going to be 3 cars dropping out here, and one of those will be George Russell. So Verstappen backs right off over the line. Oh, Alex Albon drifting through the final corner. Lovely. Kept it in track limits, moves up to 7th ahead of Max Verstappen. Verstappen backed out of that lap. And he's not comfortable there in P8. Fiat doesn't get through. He might get away with this. Leclerc pits, so he's not improving. He could be in trouble. Hamilton over the line and goes P4. 32.8 on the soft tyre, remember. So he's starting on the softs. And not Max Verstappen. Yes, Verstappen and Bottas will be on the mediums. And Charles Leclerc is out. So that is it. So it wasn't quite as exciting in the end once everyone got across the line. But yes, Charles Leclerc is out. He's not happy in that car. Team radio. What he says. He's not happy with that at all. He's jumping out of that car. He does not. He looks furious. Absolutely furious. Both Ferraris out in Q2. Vettel 15th after that crash. Charles Leclerc 11th. But, I mean, he's angry. He's angry. I get it. But P11, not awful. He probably would have been realistically around 8th, 9th, 10th place. At least in 11th, he gets a free choice of tyre and gives him better strategy options for tomorrow. Now, that's not much comfort. Not much comfort for him right now, but P11 isn't horrendous. That's kind of where Ferrari are anyway, so at least he gets a bit of an advantage on strategy. But we lost Leclerc, Fiat, Stroll, Russell and Vettel. I'll run through the order properly in just a minute. I want to see the onboard of Hamilton in that final corner and see, as he goes across the line, how close he was. We're going to see it right now. Thank you for that. How close was he? Also, he tried to pass the Renault, who kind of almost went defensive. Probably didn't, but that's what it looked like. And he goes across the line. So he's across the line there, and then the check. Oh, that was close. .25 seconds, according to Crofty, he made it by. Oh, that was close. It looks slow-mo. It looks really, really like he had ages. But yeah, 1.25 seconds he did it by. Crofty calling it good judgment. Karun Chandok saying that was luck. That was not judgment. That was very lucky because it was going for it with the inside of the Renault, and the Renault moved. But yeah, next up is Q3. Obviously, the top 10 shootout. Daniel Ricciardo, fastest. Let's screenshot that and enjoy that moment. Get it over on Twitter. At me as well, just so we all remember that Daniel Ricciardo was fastest in Q2 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, Carlos Sainz in 3rd, Lewis Hamilton in 4th place, Sergio Perez in 5th. So your top 5 times was Ricciardo 32.2, Bottas 32.4, 32.7 for Sainz and a 32.8 for Hamilton, 33.0 for Perez. Lando Norris, 6th on a 33.0. Pierre Gasly, 7th on a 33.1. Alex Albon was 8th on a 33.1. Max Verstappen just scraping through. 133.1 in 5th. Esteban Ocon 10th, also just scraping through on a 133.1. Charles Leclerc, 133.2, a 10th off, or less than a 10th off, I think, of getting through. Yes, it was. Daniel Kvyat was 12th. Lance Stroll, 13th. Didn't get out for a second run with some kind of mechanical issue. I'll check the Twitter in a minute, the old Twitter sphere in a moment, see what's going on with Racing Point. 14th for George Russell, got into Q2 and out-qualified Sebastian Vettel, who crashed and brought out the red flag, which gave us that chaos at the end. But the big story really is you would expect this to be a Mercedes front row lockout. Although it'd be great to see Ricciardo up there, wouldn't it? But it's probably going to be a front row lockout for Mercedes. But the crucial thing here is that Bottas starts on the mediums, Hamilton starts on the softs. They have a split strategy tomorrow. So it's 2 weeks late, but Bottas gets the extra tyres, the opposite tyres that he wanted. So it's 2 weeks too late, but he got the opposite tyre that he wanted so badly. Seb having his interview. Who are we going for pole then? Let me know in chat. Pop a surname down. I'm still going to go for Bottas. I fancy Bottas for pole today. Pit lane start for Vettel, question mark. It's hard to say. It didn't look like a heavy impact on the rear, so they might not need to do too much. And actually, it's not. In fact, they're showing the replay now. Lovely timing. Thank you, Anthony Davidson. So it was, he walloped that orange curb on the inside. That sent the back end loose, just sends him round basically. But the impact didn't seem, it looked huge, didn't it? But I think he'll be, it depends what that suspension's done. If it's punctured the monocoque, then possibly, because he'll need a new chassis. But it doesn't look that hard, so he might be okay. But like I say, it's hard to tell just from replays. They have all the information, so we shall see on that one. It's a good point now. I'm going to go Bottas for pole, like I say. Yeah. I think Dan's going for Hamilton. I'm not singing. I am not singing MC Hammer. No way. I might on the Christmas stream when I've had a couple. Tend to have a couple of drinks for the Christmas stream. I'll sing you a song then, but I am not doing MC Hammer. Astro says Hamilton. Alex has gone with Hamilton as well. Verstappen for Rocket. Being ambitious, I like that. Mike Butler says Hammer time. Jez wants to know about the red flag that it was Sebastian Vettel crashing at turn 4. He's okay. Yeah, Bottas, Hamilton, Ricciardo for quali podium says it's just a dust storm. You know, you might be onto something there with Ricciardo P3 or maybe Sainz, because it doesn't look at the moment. Fast forward 15 minutes and Max Verstappen's third, but it doesn't look at the moment like Red Bull have massive pace, does it? Don't know what they're going to challenge. So we could see a Carlos Sainz or a Daniel Ricciardo there. We're about to start Q3. I'll get my timer ready. Whilst I'm getting my timer ready, though, please do, once again, drop a like on the stream. Massively appreciated and really helps the channel out. I know I keep saying that, but people tune in all the time. So, yeah, please do drop a like. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well, so you don't miss out on any content. We're live 100% for the race reaction tomorrow. I've got Chainbear with me tomorrow. Stuart's back for that one. Hopefully we'll have an exciting Russian Grand Prix to talk about. We'll be live about an hour and a half after the race finishes, and then lots of content next week. And then, of course, it's on to the one I'm so hyped for, the return to the Nürburgring. I can't wait. I'm going to be so giddy all that race week. I really, really am. And I apologise in advance, but I love the Nürburgring, and I cannot wait to see F1 back around there. So, that's a couple of weeks away yet. But yeah, please do subscribe and don't forget to drop a like. Massively appreciated, as I say. We're about to get going, though. Why did I do that like a news reporter, as I say? I do it sometimes. We are green for Q3. The one that matters. Who we got for pole? I'm going to stick with Bottas. I've said that all weekend so far. I'm not going to change my mind. Bottas for pole. I wouldn't mind, as I'm sure we'd all agree, having Danny Rick up there. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Be lovely, but yeah. Quite the story as well at a Mercedes-dominated track. Only twice they haven't taken pole position, and Vettel and Leclerc are the only ones to beat them. It was Vettel 2018 and Leclerc, no, Vettel 2017 and Leclerc last year, I believe, off the top of my head. I've got a graphic somewhere that says it, so I'll confirm it in a minute. Nuke Dukem says, imagine if Hamilton didn't make it into Q3. Oh, I was going to say, you think Leclerc was frustrated? Imagine that reaction. It'd be a hell of a race tomorrow, because you'd fancy him to get through quite a few of them cars after what he did, Monza, for example, cruising through the field. Back to P7 after his penalty. 7th. Brune Chandok bravely predicting the fight for third is Sainz, Ricciardo, Verstappen. He's probably not that far off that, to be fair. Here's Esteban Ocon. That's why he's on his outlap. I must say about Ocon this year, he hasn't been... I don't think he's been awful by any stretch. He has been well beaten by Ricciardo. But he's taken a little bit longer to get up to speed than I was expecting him to. I didn't think he'd hop in there and suddenly start smashing Ricciardo, but I thought he'd be up to speed. But it's also weird because it's only round 10. So a driver's not up to speed, needs half a season. I mean, we're past half a season, but we are only round 10. It's only a 17 race season, off 5 races. So, yeah, from the figure, we've lost more than that, but yeah. I might be alone on that. I might need to just dig into the data a bit more, but it just feels like he's not quite up to speed. Like I say, not been horrendous, but he's up against quite a tough teammate as well. I mean, that's going to get even tougher next year, but he'll have had a season in that car, so hopefully it'll be a bit quicker. But yeah. Ricardo, nice and wide out of 2, but we'll see how he gets on. 2 runs, obviously. That's a point. Who's on used tyres? I'll let you know who's on used. Sainz and Norris are on used tyres. Gasly and Ocon are on used tyres, as is Alex Albon as well. So they'll do a banker lap and then go for a proper one at the end. Wrong first sector. 33.7. Sainz is 34.2. That Renault seems to have some genuine pace. Interesting. I don't know why the timing's updated to do that. I have no idea. Leclerc is definitely not fastest if you're just tuning in. Here we go. What's he doing in the middle? 131.6. So he's quick as Danny Rick. That rhymes. Why not? So Gasly goes second. So Ocon currently fastest, 33.1. Gasly second on a 33.3. Daniel Ricciardo over the line on a 32.3. From Danny Rick. Sainz goes second on a 33.1. That is a very good time from Daniel Ricciardo. I think he's on for P3 here. Crashes out now. It's not my fault. Keep trying to refresh this, make sure it updates. There goes Bottas, 32.1. Wow. I'm going to shut him. Hamilton's just absolutely smashed a lot of them. It's a 131.3. It is 7 tenths quicker than Bottas and 9 tenths quicker than Daniel Ricciardo. The reason I was saying wow was because Bottas was only a tenth and a half quicker than Daniel Ricciardo. Wow. That was my wow. It was nothing to do with anything else. And then Hamilton went and stuck that one in. As it very much were. Apologies for the live timing, by the way. It's just trying to refresh itself. I'm trying to give it a helping hand. What have we got running order-wise? So everyone's got their first laps in. Hamilton fastest 31.3. Bottas second on a 32.1. Verstappen third on a 32.3. So he's back in that mix. Ricciardo fourth on a 32.3. And then it's Perez fifth on a 32.4. Sainz sixth on a 33.1. Seventh for Ocon on a 33.1. Eighth for Albon on a 33.3. And then we've got Pierre Gasly on a 33.3 in ninth and a 33.5 for Norris. But Norris, Gasly, Albon, Ocon and Sainz were all on used tyres. So there's more to come from them. Definitely not. No, Kareem Chantal, they're not. According to the official timing, your 6th to 10th are all on used tyres. That's a huge gap between Bottas and Hamilton. Everyone seems to have got their laps in. Nothing being deleted, so that's good. Sorry, so this is Korean Chandok again, just some analysis. But yeah, we're just waiting now for their final runs. 5 minutes to go, or coming up to 5 minutes to go. Yeah, timing should be up to date now, Mike. Again, like I say, there's a bit of a latency issue today because of YouTube and their wonderful new streaming software. Look, I'm an old man. I'm not old. I'm 34, but I'm old enough. I like it when things stay as they are. Okay. The streaming software was fine as it was. It was clunky and a pain in the backside, but it was much easier to use than the current one. Anyway, I'm not on a moan. I'm going to stop now. As I said in Q2, don't bet against Hamilton. Absolutely, says Murdoch Keith. Completely, you can't, can you? It's I used to say that when my parents used to get on at me because Schumacher was having a bad weekend and trying to wind me up, and it'd be like, you can't rule him off. You can't rule him out. Yeah, he crashed in practice, but you can't rule him out, and then he could stick it on pole and go off and win the race comfortably. Yeah. Ooh, Renault making Hamilton just jump out of the way a little bit. Here we go, 4 minutes to go. It looks like we're going to get another one of those awkward Q3s where everyone goes out and pumps their lap in, and we're kind of left waiting for a minute to see what happens and talking about potatoes and stuff. I'm sure we can fill a bit of time. It's not a problem. I'm just watching Ocon, I think, come out of the pits. Was close. Hamilton did have to sort of swing his car around him. I don't think it was... I think it was Ocon. It wasn't Ricciardo who was saying Ricciardo on team radio. So really, I think unless Bottas made a mistake, that is a huge gap. But you'd expect him to close that gap a little bit. But for me, the fight really is Verstappen and Ricciardo for P3. Maybe Perez as well. And we don't know on fresh tyres what Sainz, Ocon, Albon, Gasly and Norris are going to do. So you've got Verstappen third on a 132.360, and then Ricciardo 4,000ths behind on a 132.364, and then you've got Perez less than a tenth off on a 132.4. So as they just start to deliver by the look of it, Seb's car back to the Ferrari garage. I think that's Seb's car in the background. The Bottas, by the look of it, is first to go for the lap, so we'll know, won't we, pretty quickly, whether or not he can get that gap down to Hamilton, because it might even give Hamilton a chance to back out of his, but it's a complete clear track. Can Bottas take pole position? That's a big question. Over the line he goes, down that super long straight through what is officially turn one, but is a kink at most. That's it. I say a kink. I wouldn't fancy that in a road car at that speed. Absolutely no way. Into that first chicane. Very nicely through there. Apex speed, 139.5. So he's 1.6 slower than Ricciardo. Kilometres an hour, that is. It was 141.1. Nicely through four. That's where Vettel had his crash. Cameraman falls over, apparently. It looked like. Went a bit wonky there. I hope not. He's in a helicopter. That'd be a bit embarrassing. Quite a mess as well. Shut up, Sean. Coming through now to get ready for that long run all the way down to turn 13. He's got to get through these corners first, though, Sean. You're a little bit ahead of yourself. Very street track, isn't it, Sochi? Lots of runoff, but it's still very street track. Hamilton is purple in the first sector, 0.2 quicker. I think, peeps, Hamilton's on pole. Unless Bottas delivers. No, he doesn't. It's a 131.5. That's not great. I think Lewis Hamilton... In fact, I'm going to call it, and if I jinx him, please don't have a go at me, Hamilton fans, but Hamilton is on pole for the Russian Grand Prix, unless Bottas can find a shortcut here, because there's just, I can't see, these are famous last words, aren't they? I can't see him getting anywhere near. He was 0.2 down in the first sector already, and he was already well down. Over the line, he will go. He's half a second off, but he stays P2. Nice toe for a Red Bull there, just behind that Mercedes. Here comes Esteban Ocon. He's green and green. So he is improving. He's not going to get anywhere near that pole time as you would expect, but goes P6 on a 32.6. Lewis Hamilton, poor middle sector, but he's going to go purple overall. And improves his time, so he's 6.5 tenths clear of Bottas. Hamilton on pole, as we already pretty much knew. Pierre Gasly goes 7th on a 133 flat. What can Lando Norris do? Over the line, all the way up to 7th place from 10th, so not bad at all. So tight. It is so tight between them all. Here comes Danny Rick. What can he do? Over the line, he stays P4. Still a very good result for Daniel Ricciardo. I think he's pumping the steering wheel there, but it is P4. Sainz goes P6. Is Perez still out there? He might be. He is indeed. We've got Albon as well out there. Verstappen as well. So 3 cars still to complete their lap. The session is over. Oh, Perez. Couple of bites at that corner at turn 14. Coming up to 15. Sweeps it in very nicely. 16 as well. Looking good. Second sector wasn't particularly brilliant. First sector was green. Albon and Verstappen both improving. Just watch Verstappen here. Perez goes P3, 32.3. Here goes Verstappen over the... Oh, that's Albon, sorry, over the line. Stays P10. He'll be very disappointed with that. Here goes Verstappen. P2 for Max Verstappen. He split the Mercedes. Oh, that's spicy. Max Verstappen splits that front row very nicely indeed, Max Verstappen. It's a new track record from Hamilton, a 131.3. He will start on a soft tyre tomorrow. Max Verstappen, though, in P2, I believe starts on the mediums, and so does Valtteri Bottas in P3. What a lap. What a lap from Verstappen. About a 10th quicker than Bottas. We're just watching Bottas. Did he make a mistake? Oh, he locks up into that first corner. Yeah, it was a poor first corner, to be fair. Or that first chicane. That definitely cost him time, but, I mean, that cost him time in that session. Where was the rest of it? There was another half a second out there somewhere, wasn't there? So, not great from Bottas at all. But do you know what? That almost gets me excited for tomorrow. Almost. It's Russia. Yes, Lewis Hamilton on pole position. Max Verstappen, 2nd place. Excellent lap. A 10th off. A 10th clear, sorry, of Bottas. Half a second. Let's not say that bit. Behind Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas in 3rd place. Sergio Perez 4th. Do you know what? I think Daniel Ricciardo in 5th might be a little bit disappointed with that. I don't know how you feel. He was looking good there at one point for possibly P3. I thought he was going to do better, but his final lap wasn't brilliant, and then he's got pipped to it by Verstappen and Perez. So, yeah, Carlos Sainz is 6th place, Esteban Ocon 7th, Lando Norris 8th, Pierre Gasly 9th, and Alexander Albon in 10th place. I'll go through the full order before I wrap the stream up in a little bit, but what a lap from Max Verstappen. Fantastic. Very good. We needed that. We needed that for the race tomorrow. Perez 4th as well. He'll be starting on a soft tyre. So you've got Hamilton on the soft. Then you've got, I believe, 2 medium runners in Verstappen and Bottas. And then you've got Perez behind on the soft. So that is a very nice run down to turn 1. Intriguing, though. Valtteri Bottas is P3 last year. Sebastian Vettel went from P3 to lead by that first chicane. So there you go. Just because he's 3rd doesn't mean he won't be leading at the end of that first lap or even by the end of that straight. So keep an eye on that. Equally, Max Verstappen will get a lovely toe off Lewis Hamilton. That has set us up. Thank you, Max Verstappen. I'll say it. Martin Brundle isn't in Russia this weekend, so I'll say it on his behalf. Thank God for Max Verstappen. And I'm not a Verstappen fanboy before anybody starts. Just out of every other driver on the grid, he's the only one that seems to be able to get anywhere near a Mercedes and give us some sort of race. So thank you, Max. Appreciate that. Could be intriguing tomorrow. What do we reckon, chat? Has that thrown a spanner in the works, or are you still expecting Mercedes to pretty much cruise at the front tomorrow? I think Bottas has still got a great shot of leading, like I say. Vettel did it last year, so there you go. But I think he'll be very disappointed with that 6.5 tenths of his teammate at a track that he loves and that he's very, very good at. So, yeah. I'm not talking about the championship, by the way. I think he needs the win for his confidence. The championships are done. I mean, I'm not even going to try and get excited for that. I'd love to be able to hype it all up and get you all excited, but there's no point. However, the fight for second between Verstappen and Bottas is going to be very, very lovely between now and the end of the season. So that's given us that a bit of spice as well. Very happy. Bottas will win tomorrow, says FT Chris 22. Like I say, great chance into that term. I'm going to call it term one. It's term one. That's what it's going to be from now on. Into term one. So Perez strutting his stuff, says Mike Cross. Absolutely. Great lap up into P4. The championship is done since like the third race, says Red Bull Sour. I think it was done before the season started. As soon as we saw that first practice session in Austria, we also went, oh God, here we go. But no, we've had some really good races. That first race in Austria was epic, wasn't it? And I enjoyed... I think it was the second race at Silverstone I really enjoyed. Max Verstappen getting the win there because of all the issues with tyres and being able to sort of get in a nice fight with Mercedes. Spain was as dreadful as Spain always is. Oh, no way. Oh, I guess he's on my TV, everyone. Stoffel Van Dorn doing the post-session interviews. All hail the Stoff. Oh, what a lovely surprise. Anyway, yes, if you were here just for the qualifying, thank you for coming along. Great to have you with me the afternoon. Please do drop a like before you disappear. It will be massively appreciated, and hopefully catch you tomorrow for the race reaction. But if you're sticking around, I'll take some of your comments in just a moment. I'm going to have to listen to stuff. We have to listen to stuff. And then I'll run through the order and we'll do a little bit of reaction and talk about strategy tomorrow, and then we'll wrap it up for today. But yeah, thank you for coming along if you just came for the actual session, and hopefully talk to you tomorrow. Like I say, drop a like. That'd be appreciated. Stuff. I'm very excited. Sorry. Not in a weird, creepy way. I like Stoffel Van Dorn. I never mentioned that. I never have. Right, I better do a run through the order, really, hadn't I? See results for qualifying. Lewis Hamilton, fastest. He's on pole, another pole position. He's just extending that record, isn't he? On a 1:31.3. Max Verstappen in second place. Probably a big surprise, actually, that in this session on a 1:31.867. Valtteri Bottas in third, a 1:31.956, 6/10 off his teammate, 6.5 off his teammate, if you want me to be a bit more specific. Sergio Perez in fourth, good lap for him. Daniel Ricciardo in fifth, possibly, like I say, a little bit disappointed because he was looking as an outside top three contender. Carlos Sainz sixth and Esteban Ocon in seventh place with Lando Norris in eighth. It is ninth for Pierre Gasly and then 10th for Alex Albon. He's 1.7 seconds off Hamilton and 1.2 seconds off his teammate. Not great for Alex Albon. I'm not going to have a go at him. It's only qualifying. It's points in the race, but he needs to get himself up there tomorrow to help. Again, though, like I keep saying, we'll talk about in a minute, but again, he needs to be up there with Verstappen. What an opportunity if he'd been P4 today. But anyway, Charles Leclerc in 11th place, very frustrated. 12th for Daniel Kvyat and 13th for Lance Stroll. He had a problem in Q2 and couldn't get a second run in. George Russell brilliantly out of Q1 again, ended up 14th. Sebastian Vettel only 15th. He didn't get another run in though, or any run in at all after he had a crash at turn 4. He's okay. Car has been returned to the pits, but a fair bit of damage, and we'll see if he needs to start from the back or get any kind of penalties for changes probably by tomorrow. Or you'd hope by tomorrow. It's the race tomorrow. 16th for Romain Grosjean, 17th for Antonio Giovinazzi, it's 18th for Kevin Magnussen, then 19th for Nicholas Latifi, and 20th for Kimi Raikkonen. So that is your top 20. And as far as I know, that's the grid for tomorrow, unless there's any post-session penalties as well, but we shall see on that one. But yeah, I was just saying about Alex Albon there. He did a good job in qualifying last time out. He got the podium as well, and I thought, this is it. Come on, Alex. Kick on from there. Let's really start to show Red Bull that you've got it. And to be 10th today is going to be so frustrating, least of all for him, but also for Red Bull, because with Verstappen second, if Albon had been 4th tomorrow, that throws options at Red Bull, and they could have taken a fight to Mercedes. If they go into turn 1, 2, and 3, and that's how they are before the pit stops, then Red Bull could have had the opportunity to pull Albon in to pull the undercut on Bottas and then maybe give Verstappen a chance to go for Hamilton. But, you know, they need the second car there. And that's, you know, it's not... When Albon is P10 and he's a 10th and a half, 2/10 off Verstappen, because that's just how small the gap is in the field, you can kind of almost accept it to a point. But 1.2 seconds, it was a mega lap from Max to be fair, but 1.2 seconds is a huge deficit, So I really hope that we see that overtaking, that he's becoming becoming synonymous with him, isn't it? That overtaking that he does. So hopefully he will deliver that tomorrow and be able to pick up some really, really decent points and maybe get himself up there into that fight. But by the time he gets through Gasly, Norris, Ocon, Sainz, Ricciardo and Perez, the top 3 have gone. So yeah, I'm gutted for him because it'd be great to see him up there, but I'm frustrated for Red Bull as well. If you've got 2, Daniel Ricciardo would have been P4 today in that Red Bull, so that's what he needs to be aiming for. We'll see tomorrow. I don't like having a pop at Albon because he's genuinely a nice guy. He is a quick driver, and I genuinely think he's showing more potential and more opportunity, or there's more of an opportunity for him to turn it around at Red Bull than Pierre Gasly was showing. I never felt like Gasly would ever turn that around. Albon seems to show those glimpses that he could. So I want him to, but it's still massively frustrating and needs to step it up. But Hamilton, comfortably out front. It is going to be interesting between that top 3 with the soft tyre for Hamilton and the medium for the other 2. You'd think, in theory, on paper and all of that business, Hamilton should be pretty comfortable into turn 1 because he gets that little bit of extra grip off the line on the soft tyre. But there is such a run to that first chicane that the slipstream, the toe, is going to have a massive impact. And like I've said a couple of times now, Sebastian Vettel last year went from 3rd to 1st by that first chicane because of that toe. So it's going to be fascinating. We could be 3 wide into that first chicane tomorrow, and that's bloody fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. But having Max Verstappen up there mixes it up a little bit. There's a mix of strategies as well. Bottas getting to start on the opposite tyre. I know that was forced on Mercedes really because of the issues, the mistake by Hamilton on his first lap and then the red flag, but it still means that he's got a different strategy to Hamilton, so he can mix it up with him and he might be able to take the fight to his teammate. But yeah, I'm actually genuine, and it's weird. I never get excited for Russia, and you can say I'm moaning all you want. I just don't. I never have. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow now. I do enjoy racing. Don't get me wrong. I love watching F1, even the really dull races like Sochi, but I never get pumped for it. That's got me quite excited. Very, very excited. And Perez 4th. Soft tyre start. I think Perez can mix it with those top 3 into turn 1 tomorrow. Or am I getting a bit too excited? It's fine if I am. If the race is more interesting than qualifying, it'll be an interesting race. Absolutely. I thought qualifying was going to be the most exciting part of the weekend. It was actually quite a decent qualifying session. A lot of question marks. Of course, tomorrow, it's all about... It's not even about the championship, like I say. It's about that battle for P2 in the championship, but also can Lewis Hamilton equal 91 wins and equal Schumacher's record? As a Michael Schumacher fanboy, that'll be... It won't be hard to take because Hamilton absolutely deserves it. He's done it, and you can't... I'm not going to get salty and bitter about that, but it is hard to see Schumacher's records fall because I think everyone thought they were impossible. They were never going to get beaten, and here we are. So, question is, can anybody in the future beat that? Do you think Verstappen, if he gets the right car, could go off and start doing what Hamilton's doing? And if Red Bull can deliver him that in 2022, maybe start a bit of dominance for him? We don't want dominance as such, but you know what I mean, just maybe. I think if I'm being honest, I don't want anybody to beat these records being set by Hamilton or the records that Schumacher holds because it means that we've got an incredibly open sport, doesn't it? If people aren't going off and dominating every weekend, it means we've got a great close field. At the same time, I don't want it to be Mickey Mouse, by the way. I don't want it to just be constant craziness like Germany last year. Yeah, they're fun, but that's not what Formula One is. Checo, great lap, says Sandeep. Absolutely. Jordan F1, pole position, says Sean. Perez deserves Aston Martin's seat more than Vettel, I think, says Astro. Checo wins it, says Flying Tiger. That's what I asked you, wasn't it, about Perez, if we think he can mix it into turn 1. I think he can. I quite fancy 4 wide into turn that first chicane tomorrow. I just call it first chicane rather than turn 1. Flying Tiger says in future we'll have 40 races a year. I think we're going to end up with 25. You don't raise the limit of the number of races allowed if you're not aiming to hit 25. Daniel Santos says smash that like button. Yes, please do. 900 watching. That'd be mega if you could. And subscribe if you knew that was the other one. Yes. Ham to the Stewards, says Fraser. Is he? Are you winding me up, or is that legitimately a thing? I know what you're all like. Calls the Stewards for failing to rejoin after the bollards at turn 2. That could be Yes, you're not winding me up. Apologies. I'm calling you a liar. I'm calling you a liar, Fraser. I'm so sorry. Yes, Hamilton is at the stewards for failing to rejoin the correct side of the bollard. So what will that be? Is that a reprimand? I can't think of a... In a race, that's a 5-second time penalty. Is that going to be a reprimand, do we think? Do some reading. Apologies if I go quiet. I can't do both. Apparently Hamilton won't be the only one at the stewards. I mean, it'll be penalty points and a reprimand at the very least. Don't tell me we drew 2-2 with bloody Brighton. Oh, for God's sake. Don't get me started. This is not a football channel. I'm not going to go off on one. I might start a football channel just so I can go mental about it, but I'm not. No, I can't see anything on anybody else. Nobody has been summoned to the stewards, so we shall see. What do you reckon in chat then? Are we thinking penalty or are we expecting reprimand? Lap time deleted in reprimand, says Warren M. That's a very good point. Depends on the lap time, though, doesn't it? Depends on the lap time. If that was in Q2, or it was a Q1 where he made his mistake. So if it's for that in Q1 and they delete his lap time, it won't make any difference because he's already through. Because they won't. When they give out penalties, they don't then promote somebody else. If you know what I mean. So, like, if someone's caught impeding and they get through to Q2, but they knock the person out they impeded, that person then isn't reinstated, are they? So, yeah, they get a grid drop, but it's not reinstated. So I don't think... I'll keep an eye on that. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and I will let you know when that decision comes through. Links in the description. As always, I know I asked for it safe, Plum, but it's still depressing. Penalty point, says Murph. Penalty points, actually, he's not far off a ban, is he? As the Sun like to go for it. I think it will be a reprimand. I'm trying to work out in my head how they would realistically be able to delete his lap time. I mean, Warren M is spot on. That's generally what they do. But if you delete the lap time from what was probably Q1... It was on the first Q1 run when he went a little deep. I'd be surprised to see penalties, to be honest, is what Chris Medland said. It's Hamilton, Magnussen, Grosjean, Latifi summoned to stewards for not following director's notes. So it's probably going to be a reprimand at most then. I really trust Chris Medland. Ever since... I've always had a lot of respect for him and always thought he did a great job. But after... think back to Australia. We're going back a while now. Back in March. He was absolutely fantastic. Him, Luke Smith and Philip Horton were brilliant across that entire chaotic 24 hours in Australia where nobody knew what was going on. I was live for about 4 hours because we were expecting an announcement. It was chaos and they were all brilliant. I think they were up all day and all night covering that. And they kept us all up to date more than F1 did. So they won't be watching, but massive shout out to them on the off chance they are. But yeah, they are all fantastic. They did a great job. Massive respect for Chris Medland. So yes, Lewis Hamilton is on pole at the minute for tomorrow. So Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Ricciardo for those finishing late, arriving late is your top 5, and then Sainz, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, and Albon your final top 10. But yeah, not really much to say in terms of other than what I've already said about tomorrow. Very, very excited for this race. I think we've got a great might have been a stretch. I went with great. We'll stick with it. It could be a very good race tomorrow. Because of the fact you got Verstappen. Had it been a total Mercedes front row lockout, I would not fancy us to get a particularly epic Grand Prix tomorrow. But we've got a mix of strategies at the front, and we've got Verstappen in that mix as well. Could be brilliant. Or it could be absolutely dreadful. We'll find out. Predictions for tomorrow then. What are we thinking? Give me your top 3 in chat. I know I've got a bit of latency, so I'll pause giving mine for a second. But if you just let me know your top 3 in the chat for tomorrow, I'm going to have a little bit of a ponder as we listen to Sergio Perez, who, according to reports, I covered it yesterday, but according to reports, has signed a preliminary agreement with Haas. I do not believe that report. It's not from the most reliable of sources. I'll put it that way. But there is talk that he's going to go to Haas. I think that's probably his most likely destination. And I'm going to talk about that very quickly now while you start putting your predictions in, because a couple of people making a point, and they are spot on, that if he goes to Haas, it's a massive step back at the minute, and he's not going to be challenging for podiums, top-end points and wins, which is where he wants to be. He's not going to get that, whereas Aston Martin, there's a very good chance if they keep improving that maybe Sebastian Vettel and, Lance Stroll might be challenging for regular podiums next year. Perez isn't going to get that at Haas. So some saying he might be better going somewhere like IndyCar, where he will be able to challenge for wins if he gets the right seat. The only thing I would say to that is you are in some ways absolutely spot on. But I think going to Haas and just sort of hanging on in anticipation of 2022 is a very good idea. I do not think that Haas will suddenly end up as a top team. I don't think they're going to start winning races or anything crazy like that in 22, but they might suddenly leap up to being the 4th best team again, as they were a couple of years back, and they might end up being the 4th best team, and that is kind of where Perez is now. So it's a step back next year, but if everything's right for 22, it might turn out to be a very smart move. So I think a lot of moves that we see this year will be in anticipation of 22. And if it all is terrible in 22, then go to IndyCar or somewhere else if there isn't another seat. But I'd quite fancy Perez alongside Verstappen at Red Bull. I don't think it will happen. And I think that Albon will get the backing that the team keeps saying they're going to give him. But I quite fancy Perez in there with Verstappen. It'd be a bit of fun. Give him a car. I know he had a good car at McLaren and he was at a top team. They weren't really the best or anything like that when he was there, but they were still a top team. But he was very young then, so it'd be intriguing to see how he'd do in an actual top team now that he's matured a lot more and spent a bit longer in that midfield. So I'd fancy that, but don't put money on it. I don't believe it for a second. Taj says Verstappen, Ricciardo, Perez. I like Taj. You're my new favourite person. I'd love that top 3. What a race that would have been. Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, says Fraser. Probably been about as realistic as I... as I will be, to be honest. Dan just letting you know that for the latecomers, quali has finished, Hamilton on pole. I'll go through the order again if you are late arriving. Don't worry about that. Zombie Gut Kill says Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen. Oh, Walking Dead's back soon, isn't it? Sorry, you said zombie. I'll stop it. Coolio says Bottas, Verstappen. That's another one for a t-shirt. Bottas, Verstappen and Hamilton, top 3. Max B, Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas. Tim's gone with Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton. It's Perez, Hamilton and Max for Nez. Perez ahead of Hamilton and Max. I like the world some of you live in. I think it'd be fun to live there. That would be a hell of a race, wouldn't it? What's gone on there? Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, says Dutch Rig. We'll scroll down a little bit further. Daniel's gone with Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton. Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas. A lot of people going for Verstappen for the win tomorrow. John Little says Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. A lot of people going with the old Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, to be fair. A couple more. Vic says Verstappen, Ricciardo, Perez. Very nice. Hamilton, Perez, Sainz, Ricciardo. Bottas, Ricciardo, Sainz. One more, top 3, Lewis, Max and Leclerc for Cosmas. So yeah, some good mixes in there, but a few of you going quite ambitious, which I like. I'm going to be boring and say Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, because generally that's the top 3 in some order anyway, isn't it? If you want a wild card for tomorrow, I picked Daniel Ricciardo, didn't I, on Wednesday? So yeah, I'm going to stick with Ricciardo for a wild card tomorrow. I think there's some good race pace in that Renault based on yesterday. So yeah, I fancy Ricciardo. If something happens in that top 3, Ricciardo for a podium, but if nothing happens and it's a straightforward Russian Grand Prix, Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas is my prediction for tomorrow. Yeah. Good day for McLaren, by the way. I will say that. I was a little bit concerned about them on Friday. Friday morning, they were well off the pace, and I was a bit worried that maybe they were going to have one of those weekends. They've had a couple this year. One of the big surprises, actually, McLaren for me in 2020, but they had a bit of a shocking couple of races in the past 9. But yeah, I'm glad they found the pace in the end. They've kind of split the Renaults as well. Ricciardo, Sainz, Ocon, Norris. So that's a nice little fight. Looking forward to that one. Let's do a run through of the order then. Just having a look at your comments, make sure that... ask me that one in a minute, FM, and I'll do a quick explainer for you. Just asking why the channel turned to green. But we'll do a quick run through of the order. And final run through for anyone that's late. Lewis Hamilton on pole position once again, 1:31.304, new track record as well. Max Verstappen in second place and Valtteri Bottas third. Hamilton starts on the soft tyre, Verstappen on the medium and Bottas on the medium as well. Sergio Perez in fourth place, Daniel Ricciardo fifth, with Carlos Sainz just behind in sixth. Like I said, that battle between Renault and McLaren is going to be really interesting tomorrow, with Ocon in seventh and Lando Norris in eighth. So great options there for strategy if that's how they are as the first few laps. There might be a mix-up, but... yeah, looking good. I really fancy some good slipstreams as well in there. So we could have 3 wide at the front and then 3 wide in behind, which would be absolutely fine with me. Pierre Gasly in ninth place once again. Didn't pick up on this. Out qualifying Alexander Albon. There you go, P10. Alex Albon 11th for Charles Leclerc. Free choice of tyre tomorrow, of course. He's kind of got midfield pole. 12th for Daniel Kvyat. 13th for Lance Stroll. 14th for George Russell. Got out of Q1. Sebastian Vettel 15th, so out of that little bulk of or batch of drivers, Stroll had an issue in Q2, couldn't get his final lap in, and Sebastian Vettel crashed out, which brought out the red flag, which is why Hamilton starts on the soft tyre, because he'd lost 2 laps on the mediums because the previous time was deleted. So Sebastian Vettel in 15th place. We'll see if he needs to take penalties by tomorrow. Romain Grosjean 16th, Antonio Giovinazzi 17th, Kevin Magnussen 18th, Nicholas Latifi 19th, and Kimi Raikkonen in 20th. There you go. That Kimi Raikkonen last again. He'd not done that before this season, had he? And he's done it 2 or 3 times now. Poor Kimi. Will he stay? Will he stay? No worries, Carman. Thank you for coming. Have a lovely afternoon and look forward to the race tomorrow. I might catch you on the race reaction. Thanks for coming, though. Appreciate it, as always, to have your company. Alfie says so much for Ocon being a future champion. I mean, he hasn't had a car to be a champion yet. I was thinking about him. Was it you actually in the video yesterday, Alfie? I might be wrong. Somebody said something about Ocon and is this the guy that people want to replace Bottas? I'll stand by everything I've always said about Esteban Ocon. If I had the choice now, Bottas is in that Mercedes over Ocon all day long. At the end of 2018, I'd have made a very different decision. But things change in F1. That was 2 years ago, or getting on for 2 years ago. There's no way I'd put Ocon in that car now. He needs some time to really mature in that midfield. But with how shocking Bottas's second half of 2018 was, 100% I'd have put somebody else in that car, probably Ocon. So, yeah. That's a story for another day. We'll chat about it another day, definitely. But I'll take a couple of your questions. I'll start off with that one about the green one. The reason the channel's gone green is just simply there's no... Sorry, just reading a comment that's been blocked, but it's actually quite funny. I might allow that. Yeah, the reason it's gone green is simply because there's been just this massive influx, which is a great thing, by the way. I am so proud of this F1 YouTube community and how much it's grown in the last 3 years. It's fantastic. There's some great creators out there. So don't just stick with the likes of me and Chainbear and Josh and all of the others. I can't think of them all. Dan and Tomo. Don't just stick with us. Go and watch some of the other creators as well that are just starting out, because they're fantastic and so passionate, and I'm so proud of this community. But that little bubble that the F1 word was in is now full of so many other channels, and we're all doing such similar things that the channel never stood out, and there's a lot of different channels out there that have gone with red and black and white, and my channel just kind of got lost in a sea. So I was like, I want to make the change. I love this colour scheme. I've been contemplating it for a while, so I took a week off, put it all in place, and yeah, that's what I went with. And it's kind of all about building a brand as well. You'll see these colours will get used a lot now, so yeah, I'm just learning stuff for YouTube still. I've been doing it 3 years, but it is just me, an idiot, gobbing off about the sport I love in my spare bedroom at home. That's all it is, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Absolutely love it. So, but I'm learning more as I go. That's all it is. That's all it is. So it's only a colour. A couple of people have messaged me to say they're unsubscribing because they don't like the colour, but like I said at the start, get a grip. if that makes you unsubscribe from the channel, then bye, thanks, but wow, that's not good at all. The content and me is what you're subscribing for, not what colour my logo happens to be. But there are some people out there that are like that. That is the world of the internet, though. But I'm not moaning, I promise. I wanted to make a change and I did it. Somebody asked me a good question actually about Mick Schumacher. Matt 888, I say good question. It's a question that's going to get asked a lot. Mick 2 Alpha I am doing my driver lineup predictions for 2021. It'll be out next Thursday or next Saturday. I've not decided yet. Probably Thursday, because I might do a news roundup every Saturday or on a race weekend of Friday, just because then I get the practice times in. But that's irrelevant. Thursday or Saturday next week will be the driver lineup predictions. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to stick Mick Schumacher in that Alfa Romeo. I think he will be Alfa Romeo next year. Reports saying that he needs to be top 3. I think Ralf Schumacher saying something similar as well, that he needs to be top 3 and he'll get that seat at Alfa. I think he's going to win the championship. He's going to go on a run now. So, yeah. There you go. I think Mick Schumacher will be there. Red Bull Sauber Petronas says Fiat race win tomorrow. It'd be a hell of an achievement from 12th, but I'd be quite happy to see the race that gets us Fiat the win from P12, mate. I'm not going to lie. Really unsubscribing because of colours, for pity's sake, says Astro. It's life, mate. Maybe they just didn't like me or didn't like the content or didn't like the way the channel was going and that was their excuse, but each to their own. Each to their own. I don't think I've ever unsubscribed from any channel, to be honest. I don't know why I get so many videos in my sub box. But anyway, Gio's future is another question coming, which kind of links to that Mick Schumacher one. I think he's done after this year, to be honest, Astro. He's another one of those drivers that seems really, really nice. And he's a good driver. They've got to Formula One. They have to be a good driver to get to Formula One. Money or backing or whatever, doesn't matter. You've still got to be good at driving a car. But I feel like he was given one shot. He took forever to get to Formula One properly, didn't he? So I think Gio will be on his way out at the end of this year from Alfa Romeo, unfortunately. Like I said, nice guy. Would have been good, but no. I don't think so. Warren M says British Racing Green, Sean. It's not quite British Racing Green, is it? At least I've gone with purple and not that horrific idea of pink and British Racing Green. I'm not quite sure. I think Tom Bellingham from WTF1 did a stream or something yesterday where he mocked up a livery. It looked like a watermelon. It was awful. There you go. Yes, quali is done. Andre, Hamilton on pole from Bottas, Verstappen, Albon and Ricciardo. I'm just wrapping up, answering a few questions, and then I'll end the stream. We're back tomorrow for the... why is it showing Verstappen third? Verstappen is not third. Let's come away from this screen, because that's just going to confuse people. Verstappen is definitely not third. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I will do. If they've put it out yet, which they probably haven't, because they do seem to take forever to do these things. No, they have. So, let's smack this in the stream, if possible. I might have to do some crafty resizing, but I can't be asked to do it in studio mode, because I don't want to. And then we'll have a look at the result from the old qualifying. So at least it's a bit more... that'll do. That'll do nicely. Look at that. Wonderful. So that's the actual result for qualifying. No, he is not. That he is there. That is where Max Verstappen is P2. Thank you for pointing that out. Just for anyone tuning in, that is your actual top. Well, 20. That's everybody, isn't it? Top 20. Yeah, a couple more questions then. Hamilton is under investigation, with Chris Medland saying that he thinks it won't be anything. He thinks there'll be no penalty there. I tend to agree, to be honest. Because it's difficult, because it was his lap in Q1, you can't really penalise. You can delete his lap time from Q1, but he still got through. So it's kind of irrelevant unless they give him a grid drop, which I'm not sure they will. So I'll keep an eye. Like I say, follow me on Twitter at F1word, link in the description, and I will let you know what that result is. Probably go to Chris Medland and get a retweet and all that from there to let you know. I'll just have a double check and see if anything's been announced before we wrap it up. Nothing. Nothing yet, so I'll let you know. Yeah, Latifi's actually on pole. That's already out of date, that one. It's not quite. Honestly, I'll take a couple more questions, then I'm going to wrap up and go and get... I was going to say get some lunch. It's nearly bloody dinner time, isn't it? So probably not. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Red Bull needs second driver to help Max win the championship. I think they will be looking at Perez or Hulkenberg after today's gap, says Yash. Interesting comment. I still think they're going to stay with Albon. I do. I think they'll give him one more year because, as Helmut Marko has consistently said, even if you put, Ricciardo back in that car, they're still going to be second in the constructors because of Mercedes dominance. So give him another year, see if he settles, and then if not, maybe make a change for 22. But at the same time, I think a lot of teams are going to want to get their drivers in for 22 next year so that they are ready to go, and that driver's bedded in a little bit and is helping to work towards the regulation changes. So I don't know. I think Albon will stay, but they've already said they're not making a decision till, I think, end of October, beginning of November, I think is the official line. We shall see. So Latifi stays in F1, but Gio and maybe Perez and Hulk aren't, says Astro. Frustrating. Or frustrated, it sounds like, mate. Yeah, I get that. But F1's harsh, isn't it? It's the way it goes. Sometimes Latifi's got a bit of money and can help Williams, and I don't actually think he's been that bad this year so far. I don't. He's not smashing George Russell or anything like that, but at the same time, he doesn't seem as far off as Kubica was, so I don't think he's doing a horrific job. Yes, I know Hamilton is under investigation. Nothing there. Ash Cash, I always nearly butcher your name and say something else. Let's be real, Albon needs to go. Go where? I think AlphaTauri. Tsunoda might hold the key to this, you know. If they decide not to promote him, maybe they'll drop Albon and put somebody else in that Red Bull. Drop Albon down to AlphaTauri alongside Gasly rather than sticking with Fiat. I don't know. I mean, that's total. I'm just making stuff up as I go here. We don't know. Second Red Bull has turned down engine mode. Says nice boy. Wishwader says Norris is doing well right. Sometime like P5 in Championship while his teammate is much further down. He's doing a good job as Lando Norris this year. I thought Sainz would have him this year, to be honest. But no, I wonder how much he's regretting his move to Ferrari. That's a conversation for another day. One more comment then. See what you were saying. Actually, Josh said Ricciardo had the quickest time of the day. I don't think he did, because Hamilton's time was the... No, Hamilton's time was a track record. Just look at the screen now. So Ricciardo's best was a 32.2. Hamilton's was a 31.3. No, but it's not a bad time from Ricciardo at all, and he was fastest in Q2, so that was probably the big surprise, the big surprise. Double checking his time. Yeah, he was fastest in Q2, so great performance from Ricciardo, but I still think he'll be disappointed with 5th place. There you go, that's how we'll finish. Checo is a man of the day, apparently. So what do we reckon? That's from Vojislav. I am so bad with names. Who's your driver of the day? There you go. Who's your qualifying driver of the day? I'm going to go boringly and predictably with Max Verstappen. So let me know your qualifying driver of the day. I'll read a couple out and then we'll wrap it up for today, because I've been going now for 2 hours and 15 minutes and I need to go and have a wee, if I'm being honest. I love to share. I think that's the most important thing. I just love to share with you all. So yeah, your driver of qualifying, I'm going to go with Verstappen. I think that lap gives us a really interesting race tomorrow. I think he's probably driven the wheels off that car. He's still half a second off Hamilton, but he's a 10th up the road from that second Mercedes of Bottas. So we know that Mercedes is so dominant. So to do that is quite a brilliant lap. But Ricciardo deserves a shout as well for his fantastic Q2 and just generally P5. Let's do a couple then. Korn says Perez. Flying Tiger says Checo as well. Yeet says Ricciardo. Danny and Dorman says Hamilton. Red Bull Sauber has gone with Grosjean. Hamilton says Corey. Perez for Nick. Hamilton for Daniel. Checo and Ricciardo. Gaming with Steve has gone with Vettel. Kitty Hawk, Hamilton, quali driver of the day after Q2 pressure. Good point. I think somebody else actually just made that point. Danny and Dorman saying because of the red flag. Lewis for Q2. Hamilton is driver of the day. That was amazing recovery like he did. Verstappen says Ash Cash. That was one from Alex, by the way. Ash Cash, Verstappen 100%. Beating a Mercedes is just insane. Max 1.2 seconds faster than Albon. And then Astro's gone with... back to the Albon thing. But Hamilton for Infinite. And one more. Yash has gone with Supermax. There you go. An Unseen Shadow as well going with Max. We're going to wrap it up there very quickly. Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Ricciardo, Sainz, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Albon, Leclerc, Fiat, Stroll, Russell, Vettel, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Latifi and Raikkonen is your provisional grid. But we've got a number of drivers. I think Latifi, Grosjean, possibly somebody else, and Lewis Hamilton all in investigation. And there may need to be some repairs on Vettel's car as well after his crash. He's all okay though. That's all that matters. But yeah, nasty crash in FP2 in Q2. But that is it for this one. I'm going to disappear now. I will be back tomorrow about an hour and a half after the race with the race reaction. So make sure you subscribe if you're new, if you're interested in that. And please, again, do drop a like. Just It's a good number. 340 likes, a good number for a stream. Thank you so much. But please do drop another like, or a like would be very much appreciated. Should we try that again? Please drop a like before you disappear. That'd be greatly appreciated. I will be back tomorrow. But in the meantime, don't forget that you can, of course, follow me over on social media, and all of the links for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you so much for your company this afternoon. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.